I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Courtside Soundoff podcast once again. I'm Josh Evanoff. He's the one and only Angel Ortega. A lot of stuff to talk about this week, to put it lightly. UFC 267, UFC 268, Bellator 270, and then also Canelo Alvarez taking on Caleb Plant in a big fight as well on Saturday. As always, this episode is brought to you by Brogue Energy. Use code SOUNDOFF to get 10% off of all your energy needs. Last Saturday morning from Abu Dhabi, the Etihad Arena, the main event, Glover Teixeira, Angel. We called it. I don't want to be that guy, you know. But
we are those guys, though.
We are those guys, you know.
We are that guy, pal.
We are Angel. You're that guy, pal. All right. Glover, obviously a massive underdog, and we are actually some of the few people that actually picked him. He was a 3-1 dog going in. In the end, dominates the fight. It was not even close. Ends up winning via second round of rear naked choke at 3 minutes and 2 seconds. Angel, the old man did it. Well, I mean, just give me your quick thoughts, not only on Glover's win, because obviously that's such a huge story, but also just his rise and just the incredible story surrounding him.
You know, we mentioned it a little bit before when we originally did the show in the preview for that about, you know, him having visa issues, you know, wanted to compete in the UFC for a while, and, you know, him becoming an American citizen, you know, obviously wanted to live the American dream, and finally, you know, it seemed like everything fell into place. He's on the right winning streak. He's on the tail end of his career. He only gets this one last chance and opportunity. I mean, it was a great fucking story, man. I mean, it's a fucking movie. Let's be honest, dude. You can make that into a fucking movie. I mean, if that shit's not inspiring, I don't know what is. Only Michael Chandler's, you know, bits that he's been giving on Embedded. But, you know, to get back to Glover, I mean, what a fucking awesome, man. It was fucking awesome. I mean, I love the storyline going into it. I was very confident in that. But we mentioned it privately because we actually watched this card together. First card we watched, you know, just you and me in a while, in years now. And we thought about it afterwards, like, shit, we hasn't really faced a guy who, like, wrestles, you know? Like, you know, the last guy was Corey Anderson, right? Way back when, right? And then he fought Corey Anderson, and he fucking put his lights out so quick, Corey didn't even get a chance to, you know, take him down. And, you know, we've seen how Corey's been doing in Bellator and, you know, fucking guys up over there. And, you know, really just showing off his skill set and kind of showing why he was a top guy before he left. And, you know, why you know, there's good guys in all over the world and in different places. And it was evident, man. It was evident that the takedown and getting on the ground was going to be a big deal against Glover. And initially, I mean, the first round, I'm like, okay, this is good. This is good, Josh. I mean, we said it. That's solid. And the second round comes and Jan stuffs the first takedown. And we're like, oh, shit. Mm-hmm. This isn't good. You know, there's a couple exchanges. It looks like Glover's getting touched a little bit. Glover touches Jan, which was that was I think that's what won in the fight, honestly, Josh. The fact that he was able to land a big shot, get him a little hurt, get him a little, you know, on kind of like you know, get him thinking, right? Being like, oh shit, like I'm hurt right now. Like this is not normal. You know, this shouldn't be happening. You know, I think he was kind of shocked at the fact that it happened. Ends up getting it back on the ground. And I said it, Josh, if he gets that back, I mean, it's a done deal. And, you know, it was a done deal. It was fucking beautiful.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And, I mean, honestly, dude, you mentioned how, obviously, him landing the big shot is ultimately what did it. I think it's a combination of that. And also, that first round, dude, people really, I mean, I pointed it out to you. And it's something that, like, if you haven't done jiu-jitsu, like, or if you don't know that much about jiu-jitsu, it does not look painful. But, dude, the can opener in round one. Once he got that takedown, he got it 30 seconds in, right? I believe it was like they credit him with like 4 minutes and 29 seconds of control time in that first round. The majority of that, he was not landing shots because he was in the full guard. He wouldn't even try to pass. He was just doing that fucking can opener, bringing his neck closer and just fucking wearing on him, making him carry the weight. And then round two, you could tell, I wasn't sure if like he got hurt from that or just got irritated. But you could tell his guard was a lot lower. Like he was trying to, you know, make his base lower, try and prevent the shot, and that's what led him to getting caught. And then as soon as he got that choke, and it honestly looked like more of a neck crank to me. He didn't really look like he got fully under the chin before Jan tapped. But yeah, dude, I mean, it was just a tremendous performance. It wasn't even close. And that's the thing that's surprising to me. I thought if Glover's going to pull this out, he's going to have to walk through fire to get there. In the end, round 1 domination, round 2 he gets to finish. It's about as good as you can draw it up. But moving forward, dude, Glover, obviously 42 years oldest first-time champion in UFC history. I was wrong last week. I said it was Randy Couture. Overall, Randy Couture is the oldest champion, but Glover is the oldest first-time champion in UFC history. Turned 42, obviously, last week. So, dude, let me go ahead and just ask this question. Jiri Prochazka was in the crowd on Saturday night. They seemingly announced just right then and there that he is going to be getting the next crack. There was kind of some talk going in. Will it be Rakic? Will it be, Jiri? Will they have those two fight? In the end, it's going to be Jiri Prochazka next. Go ahead and give me your quick thoughts about Glover facing off against the young lion Jiri next.
I mean, it's a dangerous fight, man. I mean, that was one of the guys that when I first saw him, I'm like, that kid is special, Mm-hmm. And before the show, I was even mentioning how special he is and how I think his rise has been fucking amazing, how he deserves more attention and how fun he is to watch. And he's a fun personality, obviously. And, I think as far as matchmaking, that's a tough fight. I think it's a tough fight for each guy. They'll both get pushed in their own ways. And, something that I want to bring up that I brought up that night, I was talking to you, or that day, I was talking about, I was like, where does Glover rank at all time? I mean, I know he doesn't have, you mentioned me, he doesn't have those big, big names, all those wins. He's missed out on those big time wins. But now, I mean, he's UFC champ, oldest first time champ. I mean, Josh, how from just that night, how much did he go up, the all time list on, light heavyweights? I mean, there's been a lot of great light heavyweights. We talked about it, and kind of how I forgot some of those names and kind of how great those guys were. And now that it's kind of settled down, has he moved up a little bit on that list? I mean, maybe he's not top 5, maybe he's not top 10, but where do you see him now in all time?
It's a little bit weird, right? Because through no fault of his own, obviously he moved up for sure. I mean, getting that belt, beating Jan, and whenever Jan was just on this crazy run, and the way that he did it too. I mean, it wasn't even close. That was obviously it's going to be huge in his all-time legacy thing. Honestly, he didn't move up that much in terms of he moved up throughout the rankings, but he's not top 10 still to me. Not top 5, and that's through no fault of his own. That's just because how good 205 used to be. Obviously, I mean, ever since John Jones really cleaned out the division in 2014, 2015, the division's been fun, but it has not been top heavy. I mean, shit, dude, Glover's champion now, but Glover 5 years ago couldn't even get past the top 5, and that's through no fault of Glover's. The division was just so good, and now he's champion. It's going to do great in his legacy, but it's also important to note how the division is now versus how it used to be. I know that you kind of disagree though, so how would you place him top, top 10, top 15?
I don't know, man. I like I said, I need to look into it. Like that night, you really opened my perspective on it because I really thought about it. Like I said, prior to coming to UFC, he was on that 20-fight win streak. He had already been very well established. And I mentioned to you, I was like, man, I think the true tragedy is that he didn't get to come sooner, because I think if he came sooner, maybe things would have been a little different, as far as his career. I think maybe he would have had some signature wins. Maybe he would have became champ. Maybe he wouldn't have had to fight John Jones at that point in time. Maybe he could have fought John Jones earlier on in his career and in Jones' career, not necessarily his, and maybe give him a hard fight, make it difficult for him. And I don't know. It's all things that we'll never know. But hey, man, at the end of the day, he's UFC champ. He woke up with the belt around his waist. Life is amazing. As far as all time, maybe he won't be high, but I think as far as cool stories and fun things that happen, I mean, he'll definitely always have a special place in my heart after that Saturday. And look into it. And at the end of the day, it's all time. It's all it's all what's the word I'm looking for? It's all in perspective of the person, right, and what they think or what they value. All time rankings are just kind of a fun thing. It's not. It doesn't mean anything. It's just what you think versus what I think versus what this person thinks, and how we want to critique it and however it is. Obviously, we'll always joke around and be like, no, so-and-so's the GOAT, or no, so-and-so's this. But, it's its own thing at the end of the day. It has its own limitations for what it is. And they're not things that are set in stone. And, I mean, Glover's not done yet, man. For all we know, he's going to fight Jiri, and he fucking blasts him. And that's he beats a young lion, maybe gets another guy in there, beats him too, and he goes on a little win streak here and kind of shows us how great he is. He's going to show us all how great he can be.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And ultimately, for me, I honestly do think that if he beats Jiri, we're having a completely different conversation. Because right now, Jiri Prochazka looks damn near unbeatable.
He looks obviously, like a fucking assassin.
Yeah, we haven't seen somebody test his grappling. I think that would be interesting. But Dude, he looks phenomenal. If Glover racks up a title defense or two, again, depending on who he beats, that can move him up even more. But yeah, it's all relative at the end of the day. I mean, obviously, it's all just fantasy type shit. So,
Yeah. And at his
yeah,
age
dude,
too. That's something we got to think about. The age he's doing it at. I mean,
for sure.
who else would be kind of have that
Mhm.
title defenses at that age? You know what I mean? Like that'd be pretty impressive in and of its own.
For sure. Yeah, but we're gonna go ahead and move on. In the end, just a phenomenal story. I mean, that's the type of story that like makes you remember why you became an MMA fan. Just seeing Glover capture the belt after all this time. But yeah, moving on a little bit. To the co-main event, where Petr Yan once again capturing the bantamweight title, defeating Corey Sandhagen. Very close fight. We'll go ahead and say that. But even as, it was kind of similar to the Aljamain Sterling fight, where we're kind of starting to see Yan. This is obviously only his third 5-round fight. Where we've noticed a pattern of he just keeps on working, and then over the course, he's almost like Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? Where like he downloads a round or two of data, and then he just goes and whoops your ass for the last couple of rounds. And that's what happened here, dude. I thought, Corey Sandhagen opened up good. Round 1 was close. Round 1 was clearly Corey. Round 2 was close. And then after that, Petr Yan just did not look back, dude. First of all, what is your scorecard? And what are your thoughts on Petr Yan picking up the win?
I mean, we had a lot of conversations that day of what the rounds could have been. I'm like, dude, I don't know. That round was close. That could have been Corey's. But I mean, in the end, it ended up being a 4-1. That was the kind of consensus thing, or was it a 3-2? I mean, I mean
4-1 on all cards, but I will say a lot of fans and media did have a 3-2.
I mean, it could have been 3-2. I forgot what round in there was. Was it the third round? I forget. There was a round in there that switched because he dropped him late, didn't he?
It was round 3, yeah.
So it was round 3 that kind of switched the flow of it. But at the end of the day, man, it was a Yan victory. Let's not debate that. You know what I mean? We can talk about scorecards all we want. It was a clear Yan victory, and like I said in the preview, man, I mean he's gonna start off slow, will do good, but man, once he sets that pace shot, it's over. It just seemed like he had gotten in his groove, and we were talking about that night how like Corey Sandhagen just had to throw more caution to win. Like he was being, ballsy, he was going for certain things, but it just seemed like it wasn't the full send we needed, out of Corey Sandhagen, because we talked about the fact that he's lost to the top 3 guys. TJ Dillashaw, Aljamain Sterling, now Petr Yan. His chances at a title shot are very, very bad, honestly. And look, he's been fucking great in all of those, except the Aljamain, which was a quick submission, right? Obviously, really shitty for him. But as far as him as a competitor, I mean, he's done a great fucking job. It just looks very rough because how do you give a title shot to a guy who's lost to the top 3 dudes? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very hard for him to rebuild. And I mean, like I said, I love me some Corey Sandhagen. I hope he's back in the mix somehow. I hope he can find himself in a title shot again. Because he's a competitive fucking guy. I mean, I'll put it like this. He's capable of winning against all those guys. I'm not saying he won those fights. I mean, I have my opinions about the TJ Dillashaw fight at the time. I need to rewatch it. But he is very capable of beating all 3 of those guys under he is skilled enough. I think he can win those fights. I think he's capable of winning those fights in some capacity.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I think we'd be remiss to not mention the fact that obviously he did take this fight on short notice, and if he doesn't, who knows, maybe it's a different story. But yeah, dude, I mean, I think it was just a rough night for him. I truly think it'd be interesting. It's weird because, like you mentioned, he does have 3 losses against the top guys, but really only the Aljo, which is weird to say because I feel like most people he's the champ technically, but I think most people rate him the lowest is Aljo. And that's the only guy that Corey actually lost badly to. He got put out to sleep in like 2 minutes flat. So the other fights were competitive. Obviously, Petr put a beating on him as the fight went on, but it was still a close fight in the early rounds. Maybe a couple adjustments here, racking up the rounds early rather than, kind of letting your foot off the gas. And honestly, dude, we just got to give quick props to Petr Yan. I mean, that was phenomenal. I mean, like I mentioned, like Floyd Mayweather-esque. He almost took that. I don't know if he took the first round or 2 off because he really didn't. But he just like you could tell like he just starts putting it on you. Like you tell like, oh yeah, I've got this dude figured out. I know what he's doing. And just he's so defensively competent. I'm not sure how you're gonna beat this kid.
He can take a shot too.
He can take a shot, but he doesn't get hit clean often.
That's what I'm saying. He's almost like shoulder rolling, but you can't really shoulder roll in MMA. He's like
fucking that high guard dude. Like he's so good. And like
just knows how to skid it off. I don't know what it is.
It's phenomenal, and that's why like Corey Sandhagen, who Corey, his hands are never really been his biggest asset. He's very, very good with a lot of the crazy techniques, the flying knees, spinning back kicks, head kicks, stuff like that. But even whenever he was doing that, he just could not land clean. Like, he just could not get in there. I'm excited to see Piotr against anybody. I think the Aljo fight will be interesting because it's weird. I still think Aljo probably has the best shot at beating him just for the sole fact of beating him again. Angel, let me just go ahead and say that.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, jokes aside, I do think Aljo has the best chance at beating him just because Aljo's jiu-jitsu is, I mean, that's the only place we haven't seen Piotr tested because nobody can get the fight to the mat. I mean, that's literally it. But I think if Aljo, maybe in a scramble, he can catch him, because I have more faith in Aljo scrambling, getting in the back, and get a rear naked choke in than I do in somebody like Corey. Because Corey's a good scrambler, but he goes balls deep in some of these, and then just he'll mess up. You know what I mean?
Well, he'll attack a bunch of different submissions too. He'll go for those leg locks, knee bars, like a bunch of.
And those are a lot higher. Those are a lot more difficult to get than what Aljo typically does in the scramble, which is typically just get you, control you, get the back, get the choke. And that's not to say I dislike Corey's grappling, but he's very much a grappling, like, I can't even explain it. He's like the grappling Patrick Mahomes. He does. Dude,
we didn't even talk about it, dude. But there was that one round. What was it, round 4, where they had that scramble? I mean, dude, that was fucking fun.
That was very fun. And full credit to Corey, he got the takedown, and it was a nice change of pace. I'd be very interested to see if they do fight again somewhere down the line, if he tries to go back to the well with that, because I think he only shot one takedown after that, right? And it was like stuffed.
I don't remember, but I definitely want to rewatch. Like, I'd love to see him fight again. I could touch myself to that round, dude. I kid you not. That's how good it was.
It was a phenomenal fight, dude. I mean, I love Peter.
He was fucking awesome.
For sure. And honestly, Peter has turned my opinion around on him. Like, I was a long time guy. Like, at first when he came to UFC, I was like, oh damn, this kid's gonna be champ. But then like him kind of being shoehorned by the UFC because he's Russian. Probably why, and just getting shoehorned into a title fight, and him just getting a title shot off a favorite. It never sat well with me. But like, dude, the way he beat up Aldo, and that was an awesome fight. But even then, like, similar case here. Although I thought Aldo actually did a lot more in the rounds that he won than Sandhagen did. You know what I mean? But then Aljo, I just cannot wait to see him against Aljo again, just because that's going to be such an interesting fight. They have so much bad blood. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I know Aljo said he's targeting January, February, so we'll see what happens.
Wow, that's
yeah,
quick.
We'll see what happens. Moving on down the card, not a lot to speak about this one. Islam Makhachev finally getting his signature win, defeating Dan Hooker. First round submission, not even close. Angel, I'm not really going to ask your opinions on the performance because it was, for all intents and purposes, it was flawless. But what do you think particularly about, would you rather, I mean, not rather, but do you think he's going to get a title shot next, or do you think that the winner of Chandler Gaethje at 268 is going to get it?
Look, this is something I'm going to get into. I don't want to get into it now until we start talking about 268. Okay. I think it is a good topic. I just want to start it right now because that's a whole rabbit hole once we get to that.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, just go ahead and give me your quick thoughts about, like, the win.
I mean, effortless, man. I mean, there's no fucking surprise, dude. I mean, I think you could have bet your house, your wife, your virginity, everything on this, and you would have been perfectly safe. Like,
fair enough.
Like, it was. I had no fucking. I was like, I mean, maybe he could do something on the feet, but I'm like, I'm not feeling it. Like, I wouldn't tell. Like, if I had to tell a poor family who is deciding to bet all their money on this fight, who they bet on, I'm like, bet literally everything you can on Islam Makhachev.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how confident I would have been. I would have, like, there was no bone, nothing in my body. Like, look, for what it's worth, Eugene Behrman and City Kickboxing, they're good guys, and they do a great job, and they have so much good talent. But Dan Hooker is the one guy, and I mentioned time and time again, the guy who, for me, is good, but just is missing the it factor. I don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. Like, he gives great fucking fights. He does his thing, but I feel like, compared to Kai Kara France, Alexander Volkanovski, Israel Adesanya, there's something that every time I see him, I'm like, what is that it you're missing? I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? And it's not to discredit him as a fighter. He's a fucking great talent, dude. He's been in great fights. He's beat great opponents. He's been at a lower weight class and killed himself to get down there, and he's so fucking tall. I mean, toughness isn't the issue. I mean, and the talent is there. It's just there's one little thing missing, and it's just not clicking fully. I think if he had that whatever that it is, he'd be smooth sailing, man.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, just to go ahead and bring it back to real quick, like the Islam point, I agreed. Like going in, I was like, you know what, it's possible he can hit him with a knee coming in, do something on the feet, but like I agree with you, dude. I thought this was the safest pick on the card simply because of the fact that like there were unknowns about Hooker's training situation. Took this fight on short notice, and he's just a bad match for him in general.
Yeah,
Hooker's not exactly known for like his takedown defense. So I was like, I love the balls of Hooker, but
that came out real.
You like that one? You like that one?
That was something, man.
I thought that was good, but yeah, I do think that this is like a rough matchup for him. So yeah, I mean, I was a little bit surprised about how effortless it was. But ultimately, as effortless as that was, I was more impressed with a certain fight on the card, which we're just gonna skip right past. Volkov, Tybura. I don't think there's a whole lot to say about that
was
one.
Another safe pick in my opinion. Like
it was a rebound. It was a rebound.
Easy money.
Easy money. But let's go and just talk about the dude. Khamzat Chimaev taking on Li Jiangliang. This is his biggest test. 11th ranked guy, who had just come off a win, a huge knockout against Santiago Ponzinibbio right before this, and not even close. Takes him down, just pure domination. Even talks shit to Dana while taking him down, and gets the submission in the first round. Puts Li Jiangliang to sleep. What are your thoughts, man? Not only about the fight in particular, but the heights that he can reach now after that win.
I mean, Josh, we were talking about it before, we started, and we had, before we got pretty deep. I mean, it got to the point where I was like, we just need to start. We just need to start the pod. We always do our little our pre-show talk. We don't record it because we talk about a lot of different things throughout the week that, life and shit, and stuff about the fights beforehand. But dude, I mean, like I said, dude, I think that had been the most effortless victory I've seen against a ranked guy in a while. Like, I'm not talking dominant. I'm not saying a flash knockout. Quick submission. I mean, dominant that he just literally picked him up like a teddy bear, went to Dana, threw him down, and just fucking took the back man and took advantage and submitted him. It was so effortless. And look, a lot of people had talked about how a lot of people in the Oriental area don't have a lot of great wrestling, or there's a kind of like a lack of training for it, which is crazy because they're living near Europe, so you think a lot of them will maybe travel and like go work in Russia or somewhere else that also has great wrestling. I'm just saying Russia because obviously the Dagestani guys have kind of cemented that region as a solid wrestling region. But there's other places you could go, like Iran and shit, where also it's a big wrestling country. And that was a big talk that I heard that it was like there's not over there, the Oriental guys don't really, and gals, there's kind of like a lack of kind of wrestling or high level wrestling, as far as like an MMA. And I mean, it was clear, dude. I mean, the Leech just fucking. I mean, it was so, like I tell you, it was so effortless. It didn't seem like he even really had to try. I am so puzzled by it now, and talking about it earlier, and I'm repeating myself because we talked about it earlier. But I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And we were talking, man, this is a fucking rise right now, man. And if he keeps riding this wave, this guy's ceiling as far as fame, potential, everything is I mean, it's in his hand right now, and he just needs to take fucking advantage of it, man. I hope this guy's able to, obviously we want to see people succeed, and we want to see awesome fights, want to see awesome competition. I mean, me and Josh were talking about double champ, potential, like all this, all these matchups, and what is his skill set is, and what could it lead to as far as fights. And I mean, it's exciting shit, man. It really is. I mean, I'm curious to see how he does going forward, because we need to see his limits. We need to see him be tested. Still, obviously, he hasn't had to be tested yet because he hasn't had anyone give him any sort of difficulty. So you kind of wonder, man, is it ever going to happen? It's fucking crazy right now. I mean, the matchups are endless, and we'll see what happens going forward.
For sure. And dude, he I mean, not to repeat myself, like I just whenever we talked on beforehand, but like, dude, it seems like the sky's the limit. I mean, there's no other way to put it other than like it is quite literally at its core the most dominant start we've ever seen for a UFC fighter ever. Like, ever. Even Royce Gracie, whenever he was wrecking dudes back in UFC 1, he took more punishment against Gerard Gordeau. You know what I'm saying? Shout out him. GOAT. But dude, it's effortless. Like, there's literally no other way to put it. Whenever I think he's at 170, And look, I see some people, they're already starting to move the goalpost. They're like, oh, you know what, Lee, he hasn't fought a guy in the top 10. Lee was not top 10. Or, you know, he got out wrestled by that guy or this guy. But I'm like, he's got out wrestled before, but he's still a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's still very, very good on the mat. He's not, I mean, he's lost fights on the ground before, but it's not like he's ever been dominated. Khamzat Chimaev made him look like a small child. Like, it wasn't even close. This guy is truly the limit, and honestly, just based off of seeing him now, 4 fights in, I really think he's going to be one of those guys that, like, he out-wrestles the non-wrestlers, and then he strikes the grapplers. Kind of similar to, like, GSP used to do. He seems like he has that potential. Based off of everything I've heard of him in camp, his small amount that you've seen him fight on the feet, he is just fucking phenomenal, dude. Like, truly, the sky is the limit when it comes to this kid. If you guys are not on board of the train, you should get on now. But let's go ahead and cut to the chase, dude. He's beaten an 11th ranked guy. He's beaten another really good guy in Gerald Mearshard. He's 4 fights in. He's only been hit once. If you look at that top 10, if you look at that top 15, if you look outside the top 15, if you're Dana White, if you're McMahon, if you're Sean Shelby, who do you stick in with that absolute monster next?
I mean, you know, Josh, I mean, it just depends how hard they want to test them. I mean, there's multiple matchups that I'd love to see. I mentioned Jeff Neal Magny to you. And I said the best option, I think, at one point is going to be Gilbert Burns because of their jiu-jitsu, the heavy hands. I feel like it seems like Khamzat's pretty good on the feet, you know? So I think Burns will be at a disadvantage there, but he's got heavy hands and it ends up on the ground. Obviously, Burns is extremely dangerous there. Obviously, the wrestling's going to play a factor there. That's what I'm most excited for. But I don't think he's going to fight that. He's not going to get that fight now unless Dana's like, you know something? Why the fuck not?
Well, let's go ahead and ask about this one. As much as I would love to see that.
I know, right?
There's a fight that came up, and you know, it's warmed my heart to see it almost immediately shot down by like every single fan, every single fighter, every single person that shot this potential fight down. But
because they got brains, Josh. They have fucking brains. They're actually carrying human beings.
So, how about Nate Diaz? Angela, go ahead and give me your thoughts on that matchup.
I fucking hate that. Why do I want to see Khamzat take down Nate Diaz and submit him?
I don't know. Apparently, according to Dana, he knows what he's doing.
I don't know.
Shut the fuck up.
I mean, I don't care, Josh. I'm just waiting for Nate Diaz to write out his contract and fight Jake Paul and beat him.
I respect that.
I'm just ready for that, man. I know the Timmy fight's coming up, so.
The Timmy fight.
Hey,
you mean the Tommy Fumbles fight?
The Tommy Fumbles. Hey, man, I need to write out the meme somehow, right? But yeah, no, I mean, let's be real, Josh. We know Nate's gonna box at least one time. I mean, it's not a secret. We know Nate likes money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be real. Maybe not as much as his brother, but I can tell he's a gangster. You know, he likes money. You know, he'll do a boxing match. I'm sure he will. With Andre Ward in his corner too. Come on, bro. It's gonna happen.
I think he will too. I really think he will. But dude, he's
gonna box Anderson Silva. No, I was kidding.
Oh, it warmed my heart to see everybody shoot this fight down because like not only just because like they have hearts and brains, but it was because like the UFC, you know, Jonas Nash, I believe he's done some really great reporting. He's been like the only guy I've seen that's following the UFC lawsuit about them being a monopoly. He's kind of like they found out that like
explain this.
Oh, you did not know this?
I don't know. I heard about it a while ago.
Sued in court essentially to determine whether or not they're an actual monopoly or not. And as such, we found out.
Like, what do you mean, like like I know what a monopoly means, but as far as like how much like they are a big part of the MMA community, or
so in terms of they will buy out their competition and then they will go ahead and underpay their fighters, and because there's no other competition, it leads to fighters being underpaid, and so they're not really paid good wages as a result, and that's essentially why they're in court. And their scummy contracts, they don't really hold up. Like, you know, the Ali Act actually should allow for MMA fighters to go fight in boxing, but the UFC still has clauses against that. The championship clause, for example, is not like that, should not be able to hold up in court as well. So now they're being taken to court and like they're actually having to defend it. It's not something like where it's like fighters have sued them in the past For this reason or that reason, they're having to defend themselves in court. And as such, a lot of stuff's been turned over. And of that, one of the things that's been turned over is that the UFC, it's actually been company policy for matchmakers like Joe Silva to, if a guy's on the last fight of his deal, you give him a shitty matchup and you stick him on the prelims. So that way, if that dude loses, you either get to re-sign him for lower money or he's fucking gone anyway because you just gave him to a bad guy he was supposed to lose to. So that's what they're trying to do with Nate. They're trying to give him a guy that's a bad matchup, and people are seeing through it, and I that makes me really happy. I really hope they don't make that fight. I hope Nate stands his ground. Because tell me, which would you rather watch, Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson, or Nate Diaz and Kazmat Chimaev?
Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson, dude. I'm not a fucking moron.
Or if it doesn't have to be Tony. It could be, if you still want him to fight a contender, Luque. He called out Luque. That's a banger right there.
And that's a fight he wants too.
They both want it. So it's ridiculous. I'm very, very happy that a lot of people are just, telling him to fuck off, essentially. And Dana, his head's getting redder each day. And I saw, he's like, guys, shut the fuck up. It's a tough job. I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, yeah, Dana, I really wish I had your job, bro. Like, it's just so difficult.
I really wish I was a millionaire.
I just don't know how I can go home with my billions of dollars, and just yell at the media and make bad fights. I wish it's just a tough job, Dana. But yeah, dude, huge win for Khamzat. Not to take away from that. Look, if you're gonna have him fight a guy, it's got to be in the top 5, right?
Dude, I'll put it like this, Josh. If Dana likes you, he'll suck you off like a hooker on Rodeo Drive in California. I mean, it's just a fact. Just keep it real. Let's just keep it real. Let's just fucking keep it real. It's the truth.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'll put it out there. I don't know. Yo, Dana, clip this shit. I know you listen to us. I know you fucking do. Send location, Dana. Send fucking location.
Send location, Dana. Send location.
Send location anywhere. Doesn't matter. Abu Dhabi, California, Vegas, New York, Texas, Kansas, my backyard, Josh's fucking patio. We'll do it anywhere.
We'll do it anywhere. Do it anywhere, Dana.
I win. I take care of the UFC. You lose. You walk away.
You're having a loser leaves town matchup with Dana White?
Yes, dude. And we're doing Vale Tudo rules, Pride style in Japan.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes.
That sounds good. Well, Dana does have experience in boxer size, so I'm not sure if you're going to be able to
boxer size
handle that experience.
I guess Dana doesn't know I'm a black belt in Taquito.
Taquito. Oh, that's a deep cut. That's a deep joke.
Cut. There's only 2 men in the world who are black belts in Taquito and have been specialized in it. I've been training fucking years, Dana. I've trained with Shaolin fucking monks. Before they offered the fight to FPS Russia, they offered it to me, motherfucker. They offered it to me. Okay.
Dana, he's your nightmare.
I just said no because I like Diego and I respect Diego and I don't want Diego to beat me up.
Yeah, guys, totally do not go at Diego Sanchez telling him to fight him. Just don't. That would be terrible if you did.
God, I dropped so fast for that money. You have no idea. One hit and I'm down, dude. I kid you not.
One hitter quitter.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. But yeah, dude, so, what are some of the other fights you want to go and highlight? I know that Magomed Ankalaev picked up a nice win over Volkan Oezdemir, but I don't think that really...
That was a little lackluster, man. Can we get into that a little bit? I mean, I felt like he should have finished Volkan. I mean, he damaged Volkan. He hurt Volkan. And I felt like in that fight, he was capable of finishing that fight, and he didn't. I was really confused about that.
He let him off the hook.
Let him off the hook. He gave him a chance. I mean, that was a big surprise to me. I was like, I don't know. I said it to him, like, I felt like he should have finished him. I know that's a kind of shitty thing to say in a way because obviously fighters don't want to get finished. It's a bad thing for their health. But it's like, it should have happened. I think that was a fight he could have finished, and they just didn't end up getting finished. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I missed the prelim because, I worked last night. I actually wanted to ask you. What I did see is, actually, we'll talk about this one because I saw Lerone Murphy versus Makwan Amirkhani, man. Shit, dude. Did they just, not like Makwan Amirkhani anymore? Like, did they just not want to give him, a good matchup? Like, I really want to see. I thought Alex Caceres Makwan Amirkhani would have been a good matchup before Alex Caceres broke into the rankings. Just saying.
That would have made a lot of sense. 2 old OGs going at it, but yeah, this is a bad matchup for him, and he actually looked very good round 1. But
That's
even
then,
Makwan was looking good round 1. Like he was getting the takedown, he was looking good, and Lerone Murphy, dude, as much as great of a knockout it was, and it was great. I mean,
it was a knee.
He feinted the leg kick, and as he was feinting, Makwan shot in, hit him with a knee. Perfect on the button, knocked him out cold. But as good as that was, I'm a little bit worried for his prospects in the future. just because of how easily Makwan dominated him on the mat. Like that round one was not even close. Like, he didn't separate the hands. He couldn't get himself back up. Like, he didn't know to scoot towards it. Like, stuff that I know, you would think that he would know, but seemingly he didn't. I understand
Josh,
the UK is not exactly.
Do you need to be in
no,
corner? Should we put you in?
I guess so.
Is your time? Let's go, Josh. Coach Evanoff.
Jokes aside, he's got to work on his wrestling, because I was a little bit disappointed, man. A little bit disappointing, but overall, itself as just a knockout, that was tremendous. That was absolutely tremendous.
I mean, I'm sure he'll recognize it. He'll go back into the lab. They'll take care of it.
He's too smart of a guy to not work on his wrestling.
Also, he's 11-0, man. Like, there's no way he wants to lose that, right? Like, come on.
Oh, no. But dude, shout out our boy Andre. He got a nice win. Which was a really, really entertaining fight. Really entertaining. It was a sloppy brawl for the most part, but it was still a good fight. Got the submission. Moved to 2-0 in the big show. A couple of other ones you want to go ahead and mention. Ilzu Celesco dos Santos, Benoit Saint Denis. Just good lord.
Tragedy, right?
Yeah, I mean that was horrific. I don't know if it's the worst one I've ever seen. Like, the worst refereeing.
Is it worse than Mario Yamasaki and that Valentina fight with, I can't remember the gal's name right now.
Priscilla Cachoeira.
Man.
It is close. It's close for sure.
Not that bad though.
Yeah, it was definitely close. I'm not sure which one outranks it, but on the more lighter note, Zabira Takugov, Ricardo Ramos was a great fight.
That was the ref's name, if you want to say that.
Vishlav Kaziev.
Vladishev
Glaziev.
Yeah, that guy's never gonna ref again.
Oh, not a chance, dude. Shout out Michelle Oliaszczuk. Really underrated performance. He's facing 14-0 Shamil Gamzatov, who was previously, in the PFL. Great guy, undefeated, 14-0. Michelle Oliaszczuk put it on him, dude. Like,
he's under the radar, dude.
And it's crazy. He's so young. Like, he's inconsistent, but I at this point I never realized how young he is. He's really young, bro. Like, he just turned 26.
He came into UFC in 2017, so what does it matter?
Exactly. So he's been growing. He's having to fight against guys like,
he was like 23.
John Vellante, Jimmy Crute, OSP, and he's just, dude, tremendous by him. Like, he looked amazing, and that's by far the performance I've ever seen him have. And lastly, I got to give a shout out to Amanda Hebos and Vernon Janajaroba. Fun fight to lead into the pay-per-view. That was a really, really fun fight, fun grappling exchanges. Shout out to Amanda Hebos nearly pulling out the TP triangle. Very rarely used TP triangle. So shout out her. Glad to see her rebound on a win. But Angel, my guy, dude, it's time. It's your most hyped up pay-per-view of the year. I mean, I'd say so. I feel like every single time whenever we talk off the show.
Oh, dude, I get hard from it, dude.
We were talking about UFC 268. And it's weird. But, I mean, of the top three fights, Usman Covington, Namajunas, Zhang Weili, and then obviously Gaethje Chandler, I am curious, which one are you most looking forward to on Saturday before we even break into the preview?
I mean, for me personally, man, I'm a man of chaos. I got to say Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler right now. Let's just be 100% real with you.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I have an idea of how that fight will go, but I'm like, you never know. I feel like those guys, you won't get into it, but that's definitely what I'm most excited for, just because it could be chaos. It could be chaos.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I think that's a pretty popular pick, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say that Rose and Wei Li is your second most look forward to. Am I right?
Probably yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of what I figured, because I think we're pretty much on the same page. We talked about it whenever we hung out last, but
hey man, China number one. You fucking know it, Josh.
I know. It's your girl. I love Zhang too. She's awesome. But I guess we'll go ahead and crack into the main event, dude. These two meeting once again. It will be either repeat for Kamaru Usman or revenge for Colby Covington in the main event of UFC 268. Obviously, Usman still the welterweight champion, still unbeaten in the UFC on one of the greatest runs we've seen in quite a long time. Last defeated Jorge Masvidal in the first ever UFC fight with fans since COVID began back in April. Knocked him out for the first knockout loss of Masvidal's career. Colby Covington, since their fights, Kamaru has fought 3 times. Colby only has 1. He actually has only fought once since then. It was an injury win over Tyron Woodley back in September 2020. So that's something. Honestly, dude, I really think that most of what we're going to be talking about is really, will Covington be able to kind of impose the game plan that he had? Will he be able to use some of the wrestling? Will he be able to change stuff together? Or do you truly believe at this point that Kamaru Usman is kind of leveled up, so to speak, with Trevor Whitman as his new coach, honestly, as it's looked the last few times that we've seen him? Do you think it's going to be repeat for Kamaru or revenge for Colby on Saturday night?
I mean, first of all, I need to say it, Josh. I mean, if all of Trevor Whitman's, fighters win tonight, Trevor Whitman has to be coach of the year, right?
I'll let him be second place after Khabib. No, I'm fucking around.
Fuck off.
Yeah,
by the way, anybody who said Khabib was coach of the year for this year is on some bullshit. Like, I get it, but I'm like, really? Like, for what it's worth, like, I know Khabib, I'm sure Khabib is a great coach, but I'm saying as far as like a great teacher, like as a guy who systematically changes fighters, for me, it has to be Trevor Whitman.
I was completely joking. Let me just say.
I know you're completely joking, but I'm talking about the people who fucking like live and die by Khabib coach of the year.
Oh, okay.
Which is like, dude, like, put some name on my guys like James Krause, Henry Hoof, like guys who really like develop fighters. Like, it's like no disrespect to Khabib, but Khabib is like in year 1 of coaching, and also the guys he's been working with are guys that his dad kind of developed before he came into the picture. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Khabib, I'm sure, was part of the training process. He's been in those guys' corners before. Like, I'm sure he does play a big part, but it's not to the level of those other guys. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get right into it. Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington, right? I mean, like you said, obviously, what's the plan for Colby? Is he gonna come in? Is he gonna wrestle? Is his D1 wrestling really gonna make an impact against Kamaru? Obviously, we talked about the improvement in striking, a little bit more confidence. I mean, I feel like Kamaru's gonna be comfortable in this fight. I mean, I think he has no fear in this fight. If he's gonna take me down, he'll deal with it. I feel like the big worry is if the takedowns start coming in, I wonder if like Kamaru's conditioning will be affected at all. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've noticed that if he wrestles quite a bit, he'll get tired, but it'll be different if someone starts wrestling him more. You know what I mean? And makes him work, which I'm curious to see how that would affect him. Obviously, if Colby's able to get him against the cage, able to take him down, lay on top of him, make it really heavy on him. Maybe hands go a little lower. Colby's able to land some shots. Obviously, you brought in a new striking coach, working on a few things, and obviously he didn't really want to get into his game plan. Didn't really want to mention too many things for obvious reasons. But as far as my pick, obviously I'm gonna go Kamaru, Josh. I mean, he beat him one time, we'll beat him again. He's a better fighter now. He's been super active. I mean, if Covington comes out here and shocks the world, I mean, that'd be kind of fucking amazing, Josh. Like, honestly, for me, that'd be kind of like, I mean, I think that'd be the biggest win of the year for anybody, honestly, because I really don't have a lot of faith in Colby Covington for him to win this fight, especially with the lack of activity. I know he's been working on his game. He's a guy with great conditioning, real tough dude, but I mean, Kamaru Usman's looking like another level, man. We say it every time. Kamaru Usman's on another level right now. He's as dangerous as be, heavy hands, great wrestling. I mean, he's just the full fucking package right now, dude. I don't know if anybody can stop him right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, look, it's I'm actually going to agree with you that if Colby wins this, it'd be one of my top upsets of the year. Not because, and it's weird to say, right? Because these guys had such a close fight the first time around. But that was 2 years ago, man. And during that time, Usman's changed camps, and he's looked, I don't want to say unbeatable, but about as close to unbeatable that you probably could get. I mean, obviously, I know Gilbert Burns hurt him at one point, but even then, Gilbert Burns, I got to say, dude, I think like he's right behind Kamaru as one of the like top number 1, number 2 in the division. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, Hazmat will have to see how he plays out, but like I think Gilbert Burns is really, really good. And even then, Kamaru knocked him out. So just it's tough for me to say, dude. And as much as it would be incredible to see Colby pull off the win, there's nothing I've seen from him. Because it's not even like in terms of Kamaru, obviously Kamaru's improved a lot, but like if Colby had strung together a couple of wins, he doesn't have to be like, obviously Robert Whittaker is the standard, like the gold standard for losing your belt and then just whooping some ass to get back to the title. Colby's done about as of least impressive you could do besides Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal got the title shot by just waiting, and he did the company a favor, so they gave him one right back. Colby went and beat a 40-year-old Tyron Woodley who just lost to Jake Paul, and he beat him via injury. And Woodley had success in that fight. I believe he took round 1 or round 2. So it's about his worst performance you could possibly have against a severely washed Woodley. And so you know what, man? Like it's tough to say. I just, Colby. He's You ever heard of the comedian Andrew Dice Clay?
I have not. Let me know.
So Andrew Dice Clay is a comedian. Like, he had this persona as the Dice Man, right? And
Okay,
it was so popular that that's all he's known for. He evolved into the character. Colby Covington has now simply become his character. Like, he's gotten himself kicked out of his gym, so now he's training with like a much smaller gym. Who, I mean, can you tell me anybody out of that gym?
Fuck no.
No, and that's not a shit on. I believe the gym's name is MMA Masters, I believe, in Miami. It's not a shit on them, but iron sharpens iron, and he was with he was with the top tier, an American top team, and he got himself kicked out. He no longer has any friends because he's evolved in his persona to where now he has to keep on shitting on people.
Does he have any friends? Now that you mention it, does he have a single friend? Like, who is Colby's friend?
Did you watch Embedded?
No.
No, not Embedded. Not, excuse me. The Countdown Show.
I didn't. I watched some of them, but I didn't watch that one.
It gave it away to me. The fact I don't think Colby has any friends, simply just because, like, they always show like your coaches talking and like, how like they'll give testimonies. Your coaches, your friends, but like, oh man, he's been working so hard. And like they had nobody for Colby. They just had him. They showed him talking with like the women the strippers he hires in his videos. Like that was it.
Hey man, he's a variety. He has Instagram girls and some porn stars every now and then. Don't just say
he has variety. He has variety. But jokes aside, like he's fully just like he's devolved into his persona. So now he's like gotten himself kicked out of gyms. He's not training with the best anymore.
He's a dick.
And we knew that, but like his Woodley performance was nothing to write home about. So
there's no signs of him winning this fight. Let's just be real.
Completely. I mean, look, if you're a Colby fan, I get it. And I understand they had a competitive fight the first time around, but I don't see it going very well for him.
It's been 2 years. Like, honestly, if you're still writing off that, it's been 2 fucking years. If you think this fight will be close to what it was before, I think you're fucking insane. You know what I mean? Like, I legitimately think that. Like, I'll be honest with you. It's been 2 years. There's been significant more activity from one guy, a significant growth in their fight style. Like, that's the biggest thing to me. One guy evolved, the other guy is probably still around the same level. You know what I mean? Like it's just a fact of life. And like you said, the only thing that could possibly make this interesting is the wrestling.
But even then, I think Kimura's a better wrestler than him.
I mean, we'll find out. We'll find out. I mean, I'm not going to say that. That's something I always wondered, but we'll find out.
We'll find out. We'll see. Yeah, dude. I think it's going to be Ann still. And his thing is, like, I don't think that Colby won't give him a tough round or two. Like, I will fully concede that. I should have picked Colby just for memes. What just for memes? You want to take it back? No, I'm not doing it. I'm not an idiot. Oh, okay. Hey, Josh, I've had two of the craziest picks for the year. I picked Fedor and Glover. Like, I can't be too ballsy. You're picking all the old men.
I fucking have, but it's worked out though. I picked Fedor, and look, I've done Cowboy back in the day when we started doing our picks. I did Fedor this year. I did Glover this year. Like I need to be careful now, man. I don't think I can get too ballsy with my picks.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, dude, I'm also gonna go Kamaru Usman. I just I think it's gonna be rough, man. I think it's gonna be rough for Colby. Like I said, I think he's still one of the toughest matchups in the division for him, but I don't think that means much. Like
at this point,
at this point, no, I just don't think it means much. But as much as I am intrigued by the main event, I'm even more intrigued by the co-main event. Similar case here, a little bit different. These two did obviously fight as recently as April. But Rose Namajunas knocked out Zhang Weili in 1 minute and 18 seconds. Seemingly the first exchange, Zhang got caught with a head kick. It was the first knockout loss of her career, and it was her first loss in 21 fights, excuse me. First loss in UFC as well. So, look, dude, Zhang is in a unique position. She's getting this rematch. All people say is because of the China connection. That's true, but also just because she was so dominant before this kind of makes a little bit of sense. And also just like she got caught. She got caught in the first exchange. Is it possible she can turn things around? Absolutely. So first of all, what do you think about this, Matt? About this fight, obviously, and who you got?
I mean, we'll get right into it. I mean, as far as Weili, man, we've seen she kind of came out to Arizona, got with Henry Cejudo, and obviously that whole little group there, which is Kind of makes you wonder if she's going to take a wrestling approach to this. Is she going to try to weigh her down? Obviously, Henry has good kicks. Is she going to try to take that mobility out early? Obviously, Whaley has good hands, real quick, nasty elbows, can catch. I mean, you saw in that Joanna fight, that front kick, she kept catching that and, hitting her with that, that punch right there. I mean, that shit was solid all night. And, as far as Rose, I mean, it seems like she's mentally in a good place, which obviously for Rose, that's a big thing for her. Obviously, her being there mentally is like the biggest factor to her. And that's very important to her because, she's one of those people that if she's not there, she's not going to perform. And that's very evident with her. But it seems like right now she's doing well from what I saw. Obviously, I'm not with her. Obviously, I have no private connection to her, and I can't ask her, hey, how you doing? And is everything well? Like, oh, no, but it's, you know what I mean, though? I can't.
No,
those are factors I can't determine, Like, I don't know how else you would want me to word it, Josh. God.
No,
why do you hate me, man? No, just kidding. Just like, fuck you, Josh. Fuck. No, just kidding. Just start going off. No, I'm just kidding. But, those are all things that they're going to play in. And I told you, Josh, when she lost, I'm like, the last time Whaley lost, she won 20 fights in a row. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, what's going to happen this time when she loses again? You know what I mean? And obviously, she's made all these big changes. Obviously, that could be good and bad thing. But for her, I think for the group she's with, I mean, holy shit, dude. I mean, that's a set of killers there. I mean, we had Davison, Henry, and they had a killer training camp. I forgot who else they had out there. I saw some other young fighter out there who was working with them who caught a picture with Whaley. And I mean, Josh, I'm China number one all the way, man. I have faith in Whaley, dude. I have faith. I think she can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. I know that she's your girl. Obviously, you got a lot of faith in her. And the way I look at this fight is obviously as quick as the first exchange was, obviously she got knocked out. And I don't like a lot of the moves that a lot of the things that she said. She's made excuses about like, oh, well, the crowd was booing me, it threw me off my game. Stuff like that. And obviously there's been a lot more than that. That's just the only one I have that's off the top of my head. But ultimately, dude, I like the move that she made going to that camp. And I think the way I look at this fight is like, who has more ways to win? Can Whaley avoid that early part of the fight where statistically Rose has been very, very good, but I think we're all starting to see the only real fight that we've seen Rose have good cardio, and especially recently. The longer the fight goes, the worse she looks, particularly if you wear on her, if you slow her down with kicks. And I truly think that's part of the reason why she went to that camp with Henry, to work on the wrestling, pin her up against the fence, maybe get a takedown or two, but even if you're not going to get the takedown, wear on her, kick her in the legs. Do a lot of those little things that will go on to matter in the latter half of the fight. So, dude, I'm looking at this matchup, and as good as Rose looked,
it's extremely calculated, dude. It really is.
For sure. And I just don't think that she got this far just to lose twice through. Obviously, anybody can get caught instantly. I mean, shit, dude. Like JDS and Kane is the example I always use for somebody getting caught immediately.
Matt Serra, GSP.
Yeah. But that one's actually a little bit different. But
it is a little bit different, but it's still like, I mean, just to get caught,
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, dude,
what's another one where someone got legitimately caught? Like fucking Derek Brunson, right? Not Derek Brunson. I'm blank. Fuck. Bellator. Jerry. I'm fucking up so bad right now. I have his name in my head. Why is it blanking on me? Our homeboy in Bellator now. I said his name earlier.
Who's our homeboy?
Corey Anderson. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why I had his face and everything, but he got caught by Jan.
He got caught by Jan. He 30-25. People always forget. He 30-25 him. Like, he beat the piss
that's what I'm saying.
A couple years prior. So, yeah, that's a good example. I'm going to take Whaley, dude. I'm going to go just to cut the chase. I'm going to take Whaley. I think she's going to reclaim the title, which I think may lead to a trilogy, which I'm not necessarily excited for, but that may be the case. But we can just go. Now, this one that actually recently has been changed. It's going to actually open up the card, but it's still on the poster as being the third fight.
Hey, there's a reason why it's on there, though, and you know why.
Oh, yeah, well, but it also recently got changed. But this is just kind of like to go ahead and it's the third biggest fight on the card. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it, even though it's not in the correct order. It's the big one. It's honestly my most anticipated fight. I think it's truly the biggest coin flip. Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje, both guys coming off of title fight losses. And Michael Chandler, he's truly, truly living up to his reputation. He said when he signed the UFC, I'm not here for a long time, I'm here for a good time. And there's no better good time for the fans, at the very least, than watching him fight Justin fucking Gaethje at MSG.
Let him
winner
know.
potentially
Let
having
him
a
know.
having a title shot on the line. Two of the greatest lightweights on the planet. Fire rates are expected, damn near guaranteed, as a two-step of the cage. So Andrew Boyle, go ahead and give me your breakdown. Give me your thoughts. Who do you think is going to be next for the winner of Poirier versus Oliveira?
I mean, first of all, let's talk about two guys who just are fucking entertainment, man, dude. I mean, Michael Chandler speaks very well on the mic. Justin Gaethje speaks very well in the cage. This is great matchmaking, man. I mean, this is a fight that I think from day one I told you, I was like, we need to see Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaethje. Like, I think I told you that when he got signed. I was like, this fight needs to happen. And it is happening. It's happening in fucking MSG, dude. Like, where else would you want this fight? Like, there's no other better place to do it, honestly. Maybe in California, right, over there in one of those arenas, but fuck, man, there's no better place than MSG to do it at. And those guys are going to be living it with the crowd, man. They're going to be loving it. It's fucking amazing. There was a few things Michael Chandler said that I kind of liked. Kind of gave away, not didn't really give away his game plan, but he talked about wrestling and who was there with him. He brought up the fact that Logan Storley was there with him, which I was like, okay, so this is going to be like heavy wrestling. Like, he plans to take him down, which is he able to get the takedown? Does he avoid the leg kicks? Obviously, he has him in New York have some history. So obviously that's kind of there's some little history there. So I'm curious if that's kind of in the back of his mind, like, oh, fuck, we're here again. And we know about the Justin Gaethje leg kicks, which is going to be the fucking end all be all here, I think, for him. And the very big danger for Michael Chandler if he's able to check those. Because you saw in that Dan Hooker fight, Dan Hooker went straight for the leg early on, and he got him with one of those. He kind of made him stumble a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And in his debut, and then obviously with Justin Gaethje, I mean, a Justin Gaethje kick is going to be different from a Dan Hooker kick. I'll tell you that right now, and that's just a fact. And obviously, I'm curious to see if it does go to the ground, how Gaethje does with his original wrestling base, and see if there's anything there. Obviously, we saw something under Habib fight, but granted, Habib has reached some levels that are beyond us in this realm, so. We can't. I don't think we got to see all of Justin Gaethje's potential in wrestling. I mean, Habib even took. I remember Habib talked about that he took into account that Justin had a wrestling base, so that was going to make the fight interesting, and that's something he thought about in the back of his mind. Obviously, they ended up mattering in the end. Still got the submission, still got the win, but obviously, big fear for me is obviously the Gaethje leg kicks to Michael, and obviously the wrestling. That's gonna, like I said, kind of give it away with the fact that Logan Storley is there to kind of help him with that, and. I think it's going to be a Justin Gaethje kind of stand-up matchup, and Michael Chandler trying to get that takedown. Unless he kind of said that kind of throw off. I don't know if he's trying to throw some mental games in there or not. Just kind of said it to kind of be like, hey, like this might happen, but it really doesn't. But I'm sure the game plan is to take it down at some point, like without a doubt. And for me, obviously, Michael Chandler's a very touchable guy. I've mentioned this before. I think he can be touched at any point in the fight, and if he gets touched, he goes down, man. Honestly, it's a fact. I mean, anybody, right? But I'm going to pick Justin Gaethje, man. I think Justin Gaethje is going to win this. I think the leg kick is just the big factor in me, man. I think he'll fucking get that going early on. Michael Chandler won't know how to deal with it. He won't be able to get the fight down to the ground, and it's going to be an easy night for Justin Gaethje.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, dude, I mean, like you said, I think that one of the biggest keys of this fight is, like you mentioned, if he gets touched, could be going out. And it's not to say Michael Chandler has a bad chin, because Michael Chandler is very much, it's not as bad as this. I'll go ahead and say this, but he reminds me a lot of Chuck Liddell on the latter half of his career. Not Tito fight, the latter half. Just because he's been through so many wars that, like, that shit wears on you, dude. And Michael Chandler, I'll say this, I think he's out of his prime, for sure. And that's not to judge him, but, like, dude, he's been through so many fucking wars. Like, 2 fights of Will Brooks that were just insane. 2 fights of Eddie Alvarez that were just absolutely insane. His fights with the Pitbull brothers. Like, he's truly entering in the UFC similar to Ben Askren, although I think obviously more in touch with his prime. But they're both, just using an example, a guy that was so hyped in, both were already on the downslope. He knows that. That's why he's said, like, I'm here for a good time, not for a long time. But when I look at this fight, I think there's a very, very big key. And it's that they've been talking so much about like whoever shoots is a bitch, and no, I'm not taking a step back, and all doing this alpha male bullshit. It's just like there's no other way to put it.
Which is gonna be such a lie. Like they're gonna definitely step back. Someone's definitely gonna shoot. Fuck, dude. What if Justin Gaethje shoots, Josh?
That's not gonna happen. But like,
I know, but imagine. I'm just saying, imagine a world.
Yeah.
What if he's like, fuck you, Chandler. I'm taking you down, just to make a point.
Yeah, I'm just like, I mean, there's no other way to put it, dude. Like that's what they've been doing. It's just like this absolute like, alpha male shit. And I gotta say, dude, I really think Michael Chandler's gonna flip the script on him. I think that he's way too smart.
You have faith in Michael Chandler?
I'm actually picking him to win.
Oh shit, I kind of like this.
I think he's gonna flip the script. I think that he's talking about like, oh yeah, man, I'm shooting for the takedown. I'm coming to brawl. I'm coming to bang, bro. There's no way Michael Chandler did not watch how easy it was. Because obviously Michael Chandler's not as good of a wrestler as Khabib is, but he's still got an insane blast double.
No, I'm just kidding.
He's got an insane blast double. His jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. I think there's no way that he watched him do that and it's like, oh yeah, bro, I'm gonna stay on the feet with one of the hardest strikers in the UFC. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Like that's totally what I'm gonna do for fun. Like zero chance. Like, I understand Chandler's been talking a lot about, like, whoever steps – I'm not taking a step back. He better be prepared. And, it's going to be fight of the night, the greatest fight of all time, blah, blah, blah.
You really think it's that mental? Like, he's being that, like, mental with him, like, that scientific where he's, like, he's kind of, like, trying to psych him out. Like, yeah, bro, we're going to fucking bang tonight. You know what I mean?
I think it's that. And I think that he's aware of the reputation, his reputation being, like, a fun action guy. And then also just, like –
with the fans and all that.
With the fans and all that. And I think he's saying all the right things. But I think, like, in his head, he's like, I think his coaches, too, I think they're like, yeah, we're going to go in there. We're going to take this motherfucker down. Like,
shit, and he could catch him. He throws that leg kick. Chandler's a little shorter. He's a little closer to that leg. I mean, it's possible.
And he has a right hand from God. I have no idea how Oliveira survived. I mean, it's crazy to think, but, like, he was a couple of seconds away from being lightweight champion. Like, he really was.
That would have been pretty awesome. That would have been pretty fucking awesome. I'll be honest with you. That would have been pretty fucking awesome.
I mean, I got to be honest. I was rooting hardcore for Chandler in that one. As much as I love Oliveira,
hey man, still both stories were fucking awesome. Like I said it back then, so it didn't end up mattering. But I that's interesting that you bring that up, Josh. I like that. I like that you gave that different perspective. I'm happy we disagreed for once in a while. Maybe it is that calculator, Josh, like that he's saying this because he does seem like that kind of guy who would take that extra step to say shit like that to kind of like get in his head. And like I said, I brought up the lower against Stillworthy thing, so it's clearly obvious their plan is to wrestle.
Yeah, and that's despite what Chandler's saying, because I think Chandler's aware. I mean, I think that he's aware. I know Gaethje even told in the press conference, like, if you shoot, you're a bitch or something along those lines. Pulling a page out of the old Conor playbook, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, like I think he's gonna truly flip the script. I don't think he cares, honestly, at this point about like.
Oh, I mean,
about like making the fight. I think Michael Chandler isn't capable of being in a boring fight, but I don't think he's going to be like overwhelmingly trying to stand.
Oh yeah,
I think he's going to take it down. I think he's going to get it, and I think he's probably going to win either via first round TKO or first round submission.
You're not worried about the leg kicks? I mean, I just know he's had it. I know he's had a big issue with him, and he didn't check it well on Dan Hooker. Obviously, he was able to walk down Dan Hooker and corner him.
Well, Brent Primus too. Remember Brent? Obviously, it was a weird thing. It was like
the perennial nerve got hit, and obviously that played a factor. But he hasn't had an issue with those leg kicks. I know that's like been a thing through his career now.
I think that's possible, but I think it's not even going to matter. I think the second, I mean, I think he's going to be shooting early. I think he's going to be shooting real early, dude. Like, I really don't. Because Gaethje's such a high-volume guy. If this was a normal fight, I don't think he'd shoot probably until halfway through the round. But, like, Gaethje's such a high-volume guy. Like, statistically, I think it's either him or Holloway, probably Holloway, for, like, most strikes thrown per minute.
Now, do you think since it's 3 rounds, it's actually better for Chandler?
Oh, for sure, dude. I think for sure. Because Gaethje, I mean, he's a monster. Especially ever since he's been pacing himself more.
Oh, yeah.
Which we've seen, like, since, like, the tone, like, not really since the Tony fight, but since, like, before his,
dude, if you're right, by the way, I'm going to be like, this could be pretty epic. Like, I'll actually be kind of happy that you were right, because I'm like, I didn't even think about all that.
I mean, that's just my thoughts on it. Like, I don't think.
I mean, I thought about the wrestling, but I'm just like, I just think for some reason he's just going to fuck him up early with the legs. He's going to be able to avoid the takedown. He's going to be able to catch him coming in, a knee potential. Like, I don't know. I just have all these fucking worries. I'm just picking Justin Gaethje. I think it's the smart pick.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I agree. But it's still very much a coin flip. Because here's the thing. For as much as I'm accounting for the wrestling, I think, like, his blast double is just phenomenal. I think, like, in that first round when they're fresh, If he gets him down, that's going to be GG. But if Gaethje survives the second or the third, we're a completely different story. Completely different story. Because Chandler doesn't really gas. People like talk about like, oh, he gasses hardcore and, he's has a bad gassing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, not really. But he's a guy that, like, if he gets a takedown, he's going to go all out for the finish. If he doesn't get it, he's going to, wait a minute or two on top. And he's going to, fall. Like, he's got to be super active. He's not one of those guys. He's aware of his gas tank. And he paces himself, especially after he exudes himself a lot. So it's entirely possible if, like, he goes in round one looking for the finish, can't get it. Round two rolls around, it's like, oof, it's not as going to be easy for him. So, yeah, but I think we spent enough time on that fight. It's going to be a phenomenal one. But moving on down the card, a little bit weird placement for this one, but Shane Burgos, Billy Quarantillo, a couple of featherweights throwing down. Go ahead and give me your quick thoughts on that one.
My big worry with this is that Shane Burgos is coming off like a fucking scary knockout, like a scary finish. Like he got finished like kind of in a terrifying way, dude. Like that slow, kind of fell back, went down. I don't know. I think it's too soon for Shane Burgos. How do you feel about that? I kind of want to get your thoughts on that.
I honestly think that after that, I would have loved to see him take a year off. So I'm in full agreement.
That's kind of my worry. Obviously, Billy's been like on a good trajectory lately, got some good wins. Obviously, he had that loss not too long ago to Gavin Tucker. Obviously, it was a decision. That was last year in December, so it's almost been a year now. I don't really remember that fight. I know I watched it because it was on a Figgy Moreno card. So, I mean, granted, it's been a year. I mean, it's going to be a fucking tragedy. It's going to be fucking hard to remember that. I don't know if you remember any of that.
No,
it's been a while. So who knows how that went? Like I said, he has a lot of finishes, man. A lot of finishes early on in his career. I don't know if he'll be able to catch him. Just because the finish was not too long ago, I'm gonna pick Billy. Just that's my big worry. Because Shane just got finished not too long ago, and if Billy is able to come out good early on and catch him, and he's coming off 2 losses. Shane Burgos is dude. Josh Emmett, that was a tough fight if I remember right. I'm pretty sure. Edson Barbosa finish, that was contender for fight of the year, and now Billy. I mean, it's and he's been finished, and he had that Calvin Kattar loss back in 2018, 3rd round finish. I mean, I know it's been a while since that Calvin loss, but I'm like, I don't know. It's just too soon for me. That's my worry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I completely understand that. I mean, it's yeah, dude, I completely understand where you're coming from. I think it is a bit too soon as well. It was scary, dude. It was one of the most scary knockouts I've seen in honestly quite a while. Like
I was confused.
He took wasn't it like he just took like a straight jab and like his brain just shut down.
Dude, he just started falling back. Like it almost looked like something else had happened. Like he started like wobbling back and then he was out. It was weird. It was scary. I didn't like it.
Super delayed. So I would have loved to see him take more time off, especially considering like, I thought he won that Josh Emmett fight, but he ate some right hands from hell. He took a lot of damage in that one too. In fact, Shane Burgos, I can't prove this, but I'd be willing to bet like he's taken, like, in terms of like strike differential, he's taken so much damage. Calvin Kattar fight, most notably, that Swanson fight was a war. The Emmett fight was a war, and the Barbosa fight was also a war, and he got knocked out in that one. So
I mean, fuck your brain, right?
Exactly, right? And he's still only 30. Like he's still got a couple of years to go. So I like Billy Q a lot, and I love Burgos for the sole reason that he's more experienced at the top level. I am going to take Burgos, but that's very cautious. Very, very cautious. Very, very cautious pick there. But lastly, originally set to open the main card. Now it's third up from the billing. I understand that, like, it's the way we're doing this is a little bit weird because honestly, UFC is still changing the card as we fucking speak for how they're gonna put this damn thing on. But Frankie Edgar coming home, fighting Marlon Chito Vera. Such a good matchup that has flown completely under the radar. Frankie, a lot of people are talking about retirement. He keeps on shrugging it off. But do you think it's possible he retires out of this one? And do you think he pulls out the dub on Saturday?
I mean, I think it'd be a good idea if he retired. I mean, like I said, dude, when guys have good records like this, like the biggest nightmare for me is for them to get that double-digit loss. He's on 9 right now. Lost to Corey Sandhagen, freak flying knee. That was earlier in the year. I don't know if he should have taken more time off or not. But hey, man, do your thing right. Obviously, he had the Pedro Munoz win, in late 2020, which I remember that. That was actually a legitimately good performance, right?
Very good. I thought he lost that fight, but that was still a very, very good performance. Very high-paced, lots of volume.
I mean, it's been a rough road, man. Obviously, you had the Korean Zombie loss there, first round finish. Max Holloway destruction, which, God, that was bad. Cub Swanson win there. Brian Ortega lost in 2018. I mean, it's been an interesting road. Prior to that, though, it wasn't looking bad. Yeah, your Rodriguez, Remy Simmons, the Jose Aldo loss, and then, a nice little streak there with Oliveira, BJ Penn, Cub Swanson again. Your favorite. I mean, he was looking good there for quite a while. But, I mean, these last ones at the tail end of his career, man, it hasn't been looking good. He's 40 years old. He's definitely slowed down. I mean, I think he can win this. I think the wrestling will be a big factor. I'm curious to see how Cheeto deals with that. I mean, if he's able to get him down, I feel pretty confident that Frankie wins this. I mean, if I'm going to be honest with you, I think as long as I think on the stand-up, it'll be a little bit more even, a little closer. But I think if Frankie just doesn't get caught with anything crazy, no crazy elbow, like elbows or anything like that, or heavy shots early on, I think he should be able to. I think he can get a solid decision here against Cheetah. And honestly, if he retires in MSG, I think that'd be fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He's 40 years old. I mean, what else does he want to do? He's one of the greatest lightweights to ever compete. I mean, he'd be at 25-9-1. I mean, that's a solid fucking record, dude. Just avoid another loss. I just honestly don't like seeing double digit loss unless you hit those Arlovsky numbers, man, or those Olenek numbers. That's when I'm like, okay, at least there's like a 40 fight difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That they're a little bit more respectable, but 24-10. I mean, just don't want to see that, man.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I mean, look, this fight is very, very big for me. I'm going to be honest. Like, a lot of people are telling him he should retire, win or lose. I see that's a very common theme this week whenever this fight has been brought up. I don't necessarily agree. Frankie Edgar, I think it depends on how this fight goes. I think he wins this one. Maybe he sticks around as like maybe an Aldo type guy where it's like, we know he's not championship level anymore, but he can still put on some fun fights. He's still better than the lower half of the top 15. Very, very pivotal fight for me personally, just in terms of like should he continue or not. I am going to take him, and it's very, very hesitantly, but I don't know if Marlon Vera has the power to get him out of there. Just because the way Marlon Vera tends to fight, he obviously has power, but it's a lot more like very, very different style, right? Completely different style. But he's kind of like Max Holloway in a way that like he rarely sits down on his punches. Obviously, he does from time to time. There's a reason why he has TKOs and knockouts, but like he never really sits down on his punches a whole lot. Will he against Frankie? That's obviously a different story. But a lot of time he waits and chooses, and when he's actually going to pull the trigger and put a heater on him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I think Frankie's going to probably try and out-wrestle him, try and control him. So I'm going to take Frankie, decision win. Obviously, if he wins, he's right back in the mix. Because people tend to forget, dude, like he was a decent, there was a lot of people picking Frankie heading in that fight with Sandhagen. Like I truly think if they ran that one back, maybe it's different. Like I think his wrestling can be a lot of problems, give a lot of people problems at 135, but will he actually get there? That'll be an interesting conversation for another day. Looking down the ballot on the card, like the undercard, excuse me, what are some of the fights you want to go and highlight outside of the pay-per-view portion?
I mean, we got to bring it up, Josh. I mean, this is an important one. Alex Pereira, man, fighting a guy whose name I cannot pronounce. But, I mean, he's making his debut, 3-1, only 4 professional fights. I mean, he's notably, obviously, the guy who knocked out Izzy. That's like the big thing, right? The likelihood of them ever meeting up is highly fucking unlikely. Actually, I'll say next to none, just because of his
0%.
Lack of experience, right? Mm-hmm. And he's coming in, and I'm curious to see how he does, man. I really am. I mean, is he going to come out? Is he going to do anything different? I mean, he's on the older end now as far as he's 34, right? For MMA, that's pretty late. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. I mean, how far his career will go is a big question mark, right? He's coming off a loss in glory, though. I just saw it. It's right here. Lost majority decision. So I'm curious to see. And that wasn't too long ago. That was a few months.
September, and a rematch against Artem Vitkov. They fought in January, very close fight, and the second one was just as close.
Really?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So let's see how he does. Let's see how he's feeling. Curious to see how he does in his weight cut. How I'm sure it's different in some capacity. I don't know if there's any difference, but I don't know. There's just a lot of things I'm curious to see as far as how his development goes going forward, how long the UFC keeps him around, and as far as kind of like how far they want to push him.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I got to be honest with you, dude, I'm not hyped for this in the slightest.
Oh, I'm not either, but I'm just curious to see. It's like I said, I'm not necessarily hyped, But the thing I want to highlight, because he's a big question mark right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. But for me, it's like he's been half in, half out on MMA for a couple of years now. He's 34, and yeah, I mean he's had 3 knockout wins in a row, but it's against guys without Wikipedia pages. And obviously he's coming.
I love how that's your
off a
golden
loss.
standard, by the way.
It's quite literally the like lowest standard you can have to be somewhat relevant. That's my way of looking at it. Now, that's not to say, obviously, I don't know the guys he beat. Like, that's honestly my real barometer, but it just sounds funnier to say that, like, he's beating guys on Wikipedia pages. But, like, jokes aside, it's not like he's beating the cream of the crop, as the Macho Man would put it.
Let's go, champ.
Let's go, champ. Like, he's had, he beat Thomas Powell. I mean, he fought a guy who was 8-7.
I was gonna say, what were the records? That's a good question now.
Okay, just based off of Tapology, he lost to a guy who was 3-0. He beat a guy who was 8-7. He beat a guy who was 6-0, and then he beat a guy who was 4-4. So
nothing impressive.
Bit of a mixed bag. He's fighting the guy whose name I can't pronounce the last name, but he's Andreas. It's a Greek last name. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Michaelis, maybe, potentially. Not necessarily the greatest talent, but he's okay.
He's a well-experienced guy.
Yeah, well-experienced. 2 fights in the UFC. Knockout loss to Madeus Bukakas, who actually recently just got released for some bullshit reason.
What?
And then you didn't know that?
That's some bullshit, dude. My man got injured.
Yeah, he got cut.
He has no health insurance now. Well, I guess he's in a different country. I don't know how that would work.
And then he did pick up a win over KBBR, who actually is pretty good. So, yeah, so he's an interesting guy, but he's not really much of a wrestler. So this should be one Alex Pereira should take. But at the same time, he's 34. More than people compare him to Izzy, and he's like, yeah, I'm coming for the belt. People already talk about him fighting Izzy because, he beat him once in one of the worst robberies I've seen in kickboxing, and then he beat him another time after getting his ass kicked for a round and a half, and then he knocked him out. So I truly recommend people to go rewatch.
You think they're gonna push the shit out of him? That's what's gonna happen, right? They're gonna try to push him.
If he wins 3 in a row, he's getting a title shot. I'll put it that way.
Like, okay, so give me like a retro. He wins this, he gets a guy outside of the top 25, right?
If he beats this kid, he's gonna fight Kevin Holland. If he beats Kevin Holland, he's gonna fight.
By the way, that's a very winnable fight for him.
100%. So
that's actually fucking scary to think. Holy fuck.
Okay, I have middleweight in front of me. He's gonna fight that kid. If he beats that kid, he's gonna fight Kevin Holland. If he beats Kevin Holland, he's probably gonna fight, if I had to guess, Darren Till, and then he's gonna fight for the title.
Dude, what the fuck? You know what's crazy? That doesn't even sound unrealistic.
Not even a little bit. I know I'm right. Like,
dude, what the fuck? They're really gonna try to do it, aren't they?
100%. There's a reason why he was originally on the pay-per-view.
Also, Josh, he's all in on MMA because he can't fight in Glory.
Why not?
Did you think about that?
That's true. I mean, but also he's been half in, half out until he got signed a couple of months ago.
I know, but now he can't be though. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to allow that. So that's also another thing I don't even think we thought about right now. He's actually had to have to fight MMA on a regular basis now, whereas before. True. He was fighting, he could fight Glory every other week. He could do kickboxing. Because, in kickboxing, they have fights all, very often. It's actually kind of wild how often they fight.
For sure.
Now, it's going to be a little different. And also, it's like he has more shit to worry about. And he can only fight in the UFC. They're not going to allow him to go fight in Glory.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. But in the end, people are comparing him to Izzy. I think he's more likely to be Gokhan Saki than he is Izzy.
Fucking yeah, I know about that.
And I love Gokhan Saki, but they were damn near the same age.
He's really gonna fight Kevin Holland, dude. You're not even wrong. They were
damn near the same age when they came into the UFC.
Dude, if Kevin Holland loses his fight, against what's his name, Dawkins, they might actually set that up.
Or if he wins, they're pushing the shit out of this dude.
Dude, what the fuck?
But I would actually recommend people to go rewatch both those fights because he beat Izzy the first time around. I thought it was complete robbery.
That's what I've heard too.
And then the second one, Izzy nearly had a finish, got overzealous, got finished himself. That was, it happens.
And that's the only time
it wasn't just some domination ass kicking like how it's been presented.
Yeah.
So, and also that was years ago, and both guys have changed a lot. So I don't even think he's going to get close to Izzy. But regardless, outside of that one, I like Quinton Bobby Green, absolute banger. very excited to see Rage and Al's return, which has really flown under the radar, man. It really, really has. But we'll see what he has on Saturday. Bobby Green, that's a great matchup. Phil Hawes, Chris Curtis, very, very fun one. Glad to see Chris Curtis finally get the opportunity. Phil Hawes back, obviously a great prospect. Edmund Shabazian is back against somebody like, I want to say like more level competition.
His level.
But even the guy he's fighting is fucking great. Evanoff.
That's the guy they want to push.
Yeah, I mean, he beat Jordan Williams, who's very good. He lost to Phil Hawes, very close fight, and then he knocked out Ian Heinisch, who has an amazing chin on him. So, it's still going to be a rough one for Edmund. I feel like they're trying to transfer that hype to this 25-year-old Russian kid, so it happens.
Hey, French nationalized.
Oh, okay, well, never mind then. But Ian Gary versus Jordan Williams, very hyped up fight, as it should be. That's a great one.
UFC
and the last one I personally want to highlight, John Volante's retirement fight is going to be on the early prelims, taking on Chris.
It's going to be a fucking banger, too, Josh.
Huggy Bear Barnett. So, I mean, it's a banger all around, dude. This is an all-around amazing card.
Dude, I want some spinning shit in this. I want some spinning shit from Chris Barnett, dude. I better see some spinning shit.
Oh, he's going to give you some spinning shit. I think he wins this fight.
Really? Good for Chris Barnett. You know something? This is okay, and this be just blaming on. Chris Barnett is never going to be UFC champ, right? He's never going to be
bullshit.
Never break the top 10.
UFC champ in my heart.
Yeah, and in my heart too. But dude, he's one of those guys who's like, man, he doesn't have to be UFC champ because he's so fucking entertaining,
That's true.
Like this is one of the rare few times where I can say it's perfectly fine for a guy to not be chasing championships. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, it's just a fun dude. Like, and he's not even, and you can't even call him a journeyman because he actually has like a positive record. He's 21-7. Like, it's actually kind of fucking insane. You look at him and you don't think this guy would be 21-7.
For sure, dude. And he has some good wins on there.
Oh yeah, he has some names.
So, just moving on. It's not the only MMA this weekend. That is a phenomenal card. Obviously, this one does not compare to it, but still a very, very fun Bellator card taking place in Dublin. Main event, lightweight title is on the line, vacant lightweight title, and a rematch of a fight that happened earlier this year, which is an absolute banger. Patricky Pitbull taking on Peter Queally. Obviously, Peter defeated him via doctor stoppage, second round, in an absolute war back at Bellator 258 in May. He's gonna venture into the Irishman's home country and try and win the vacant belt, finally trying to come out from behind his brother's shadow and pick up the biggest win of his career. Angel, what are your thoughts about the main event of Bellator 270?
Dude, I think it's a banger. I like their first fight. I'll be fucking frank about it. I'll be completely honest. I thought they had a good first fight. Obviously, it ended because of the cut, but I think these guys are gonna give us a fucking show, dude. I don't give a fuck. I think these guys are to put on fucking fireworks, dude. 5 rounds? I love it. Obviously, I'll be honest, I was a little more excited for James Taylor Patchy Mix, as I think that was gonna be at least for me, I thought that 5 rounds would have been better. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wish they were both 5-round fight, but they're not. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a little bit depressing. But we will go ahead and get that one in a minute. As far as the main event goes, who do you got in the title fight?
I'm gonna pick Peter Queally, dude. I have faith in him for some reason, dude. I know that I think he's gonna come out and really do some shit, dude. He's a tough dude.
Mm. He is a very tough dude, and he's fighting at home. He obviously picked up the win beforehand. One of the top guys in the world for Bellator, but I'm gonna go Patricky Pitbull, dude. I really think he's gonna come out from behind his brother's shadow.
God, I can't wait to be so right.
I mean, let's go ahead and note here, dude. He was losing that fight before he got the doctor stoppage. It's very important to note.
Fuck, man, but he was putting in some work, though.
He was. He had his moments, but he was still down 2-0 before that stoppage came with the doctor.
You just weren't ready for the knockout, dude. That's what it is.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see on Friday. So, yeah, I'm going to go and take...
Yeah. You'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to take Patricky.
Yeah, you can't wait to see Peter Queally put out Patricky Pitbull's lights, man.
I can't wait to see Patricky finally get his due. Can't wait to see it.
I can't wait to see Patricky lose the title.
Okay, bro. All right, we'll see. I think he's going to do it. I think that this is finally his time. Everybody talks about Patricio. this would be the first time that he's actually won the Bellator title. Like, he's always been in the shadow of his brother. So I think this is his time. I think he's gonna have to walk through hell to get there.
He's gonna stay in it too.
That's a good one. Yeah, I think he is gonna go ahead and get the championship on Friday. Co-main event, like you mentioned, dude, this is as good as it gets in the Bellator bantamweight division. Obviously, technically not bantamweight, technically catchweight fight, 137.8 pounds. Dude, Patrick missing weight.
That's not good.
Yeah, he did not look good. He missed by 2.8 pounds. These two got a lot of heat going into it. James Gallagher, obviously 25 years old now. He's only getting better each fight. Who do you got in the co-main event?
Dude, I talked to you probably about it. James Gallagher, man, changing up camps, no longer with SBG, now with Glory MMA out of Kansas City, man. Let's go, champ. James Krause. James Krause is going to be there, man, cornering him. I mean, dude, I've seen some pictures. I looked up some shit, man. He's been traveling. He's been working with different gyms. I mean, he's really committed to this fight. And like as every fighter should be, right? You know, and clearly he thought some things weren't working enough for him at SBG, and he had been with SBG forever. I mean, he was 11-1 with him, right? I mean, obviously if he's at a level now where he recognizes, hey, I think these guys are great, but they're not providing fully what I think I need right now in my career. That's a kind of I respect that, especially at a gym like Glory, who, as far as major names, I mean, who do they got, Josh? Let's think about it. Grant Dawson, Megan Anderson, obviously James Krause, but like who else? You know, like this really is like their big time name now, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean,
and
great for them,
the
right?
best. Tim Elliott's another one you missed. I think they're honestly in the top 3 for best gyms in MMA right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you argue against it?
Well, I guess major gyms. Yeah, I guess I wasn't thinking. I guess now you put it like that. Yeah, because
I put them up there with ATT and AKA.
Because the way I thought about it was, these guys make their camps, but they're not like in gyms anymore. Like Henry and Tony, you know what I mean? They pick guys out, bring them in, and kind of develop something. So yeah, you're right. I can agree with that. But yeah, man, I mean, clearly if he made a change like that, I mean, he had to have noticed something, and that's pretty respectable. Honestly, I think, and especially I think he went about it respectfully. I don't think there was any bad blood or anything amongst them from what I'm aware. I don't know if I know this for a fact or not, right? This is just from the little bit I read and kind of saw. And I saw he was going to get some good work in. And almost a guy like James Krause, I mean, you've seen what he's been able to develop with young guys. You know what I mean? And I mean, they develop. I mean, they've really built guys up from the ground up. I mean, they literally have multiple amateur guys on their roster. And I mean, we saw what David Onama did when he came over. Actually, I saw a picture of David and Genius were training, like when he first got there, so, they were trying to push each other, and I'm sure he got to feel some of his strength in that fight. Obviously, he's a 145er and he fights a weight class down, so I'm sure they got some good work in there. And I don't know, man. I think James is made some good choices here, and I think, he's in for a tough fight. Obviously, jiu-jitsu is his fucking thing, but Patchy Mix, as far as wrestling, man, is a tough dude in his own right. It's gonna be a tough night out, but I the weight miss doesn't give me any confidence in Patchy Mix. I think that's kind of a worry there. You know what I mean? So if he struggled to do that, I'm sure there might have been struggles in other places, right? But we'll see. We'll see Friday night what happens. It's probably gonna be Friday morning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see Friday morning what goes down, and obviously, I think this will be a fucking banger, dude. I'm so excited for that.
Just as right as you said, the fact that it's going to be Friday, I just realized all of our picks are not going to matter by the time the show comes out, because it comes out at fucking 7 p.m. Central each night. So, but at least you guys listening this far into the show, at least you guys know by now whether or not we're dumbasses or not. Dude, I'm going to take Kansas City's own James Gallagher to get it done. Casey Boy going to go ahead and get it done.
Let's go, champ.
I think that the weight miss is honestly the big reason for it. I wouldn't say it was fully on Patchy Mix's side, but I was kind of, tossing around the idea. I was like, I think the wrestling is going to be a massive problem for him, but he's obviously the more proven guy, I think, in Bellator. I would say James Gallagher, I believe, has more wins in Bellator, but just more proven. He gets a top level, I guess I should say. But I truly think the weight miss, he looked bad on the scale. Sometimes dudes miss, and it's like, you miss by half a pound, but was it a case of just not wanting to go with a full mile, or was it?
Did he look like shit?
He looked like complete shit.
Yeah.
He looked terrible.
I would have looked better up there.
Angel, you always look good on the scale, bro.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take him. I think it's just, I like the move to obviously Glory. I think that's one of the hottest gyms in
Homer.
right
No,
now.
I'm just kidding.
Completely, 100%, 100%, 100,000% actually. But yeah, dude, I think I'm going to go and take him. Kansas City's own James Gallagher getting it done on Friday evening. As far as the rest of it's not a whole lot there, but what are some of the other fights you want to go and highlight?
I mean, let's just go down one man. I mean, another banger. Daniel Weichel, Pedro Carvalho. I mean, Pedro Carvalho is one of those guys, like, if you look at that record, you don't fully see everything, but man, dude, he's a legitimately good guy. Like, I know he's lost his last two in terrible fashion, which for Daniel Weichel, he's like, oh shit, that gives me some confidence, right, going into this fight. But granted, though, against good competition, I mean, JJ Wilson's one of those guys who's like legitimately like on a good trajectory, really good fucking guy. I mean, he's a fucking danger. I mean, and then obviously Pitbull. I mean, look at where he's at. You know what I mean? You can't really say too much about that. You know what I mean? So, But before that, he was doing good. Multiple wins. When he made his Bellator debut back in 2018, got on a nice little 4 there. Obviously, they had that loss was in a tournament, right, against Pitbull. I'm assuming. When they had the
correct
the featherweight tournament. So yeah, there you go. And he's young. He's 26 years old. I mean, he has plenty of time, and he's a guy who's come to that SPG. So, I mean, there's something there. But Daniel Weichel back, man. I mean, he looked. I don't want to say he looked great, but he did his thing. He won the fight. He got it done. I mean, he's trying to get back in the mix. He's been out for a little bit, but let's get things rolling again.
Yeah, it is honestly a really, really great fight. And I mean, obviously the winner of this is going to be in talks for getting a title shot next. It was honestly like not okay. Let me rephrase that. After the rematch between, actually I don't know if that's confirmed, like the rematch between AJ and Pitbull, but they'll be in the conversation. So yeah, it's a very big matchup. Obviously Pedro, like you mentioned, not exactly like in terms of like record the greatest guy, but he's one of the top guys of that division. He always comes to bang. And then obviously Daniel Weichel, tremendous guy. I mean, he's getting on the latter half of his career. He is 36. But obviously he lost to Patricio. That rematch was razor thin. A lot of people tend to forget that. Experimented a bit of lightweight against Goichi, and then obviously tough fight against Emmanuel Sanchez. That Saul Rogers win has aged phenomenally. Still a big fan of that guy. So yeah, I mean, he's in the latter half of his career. I think he's going to go for broke. But I think that's just a tremendous fight. But yeah, dude, I mean, outside of that, I honestly don't think there's a whole lot there. And Bellator does this where they'll kind of have like a regional show, honestly.
It's pretty cool though. I gotta respect it though. They showcase those guys. They find some talent, and there's a couple guys on here making their MMA debuts too, like professional debuts. I mean, they fought amateur, and now they're making their debuts. So obviously, good luck to those guys, and obviously they're gonna be on a big stage in front of a massive crowd. I mean, we've seen what Ireland can do, and I'm sure with the kind of James is I'd say at this point kind of a guy known there. Maybe he's not Connor, right? That's a different level of superstar, right? But yeah. I'm sure he'll get people in there. He'll get some butts and seats.
Yeah, for sure. But dude, overall, it's a fun card. It's gonna be a hell of a weekend. Absolute hell of a weekend. But it doesn't.
It's not fucking over.
It's not over. I'm not going home. I'm gonna be like it just keeps on fucking rolling. Okay.
Josh is like, I wanted to go to the club that night, but now I can't.
I'm fucking thinking about it, man. Shit. And then I can still come back in time to watch Canelo Alvarez looking to unify the super middleweight championships. Obviously, he is the WBA, the WBC, the WBO, the Ring, Angels, WTF belt. He has all of them except for the IBF super middleweight championship, which lies in the hands of Caleb Sweet Hands Plant, ranked second at super middleweight. Obviously, won the belt from Jose. I always fuck up his name. It was a Quigley, maybe? I don't know. Anyways, he won the belt back in 2019. He's racked up 3 title defenses, most recently being Caleb Trucks in a decision win January of this year. I would say they had a brawl at the press conference. He's a massive underdog. Canelo, dude, do you think he gets – I mean, first of all, more than just he gets it done, do you think Caleb Plant's even competitive? Because based off of Canelo's last few fights, I've seen more disrespect for Caleb Plant than probably Shit, Rocky Felding maybe? Yildirim? Like he's being put in that category. Do you think he's kind of being overlooked a bit?
I mean, I'm sure he has, man. I mean, let me put it like this: with as far as the guy's life, I mean, he's been through a lot of adversity, right? With the loss of a child. I mean, that is something that obviously we're young, we haven't, we don't know how it is to be kids, but I mean, that shapes you in quite a different way. And I mean, dude, I don't know if you noticed, Josh, but that was going on as he was going pro. Like that was early on in his career. I mean, that's fucking crazy. Like he was training, he was fighting, he was going to the hospital to go see his daughter, and he was trying to do both, man. I mean, that's fucking crazy. He was able to, get through adversity, get to this point in his life, be 21-0, be a champ. I mean, you don't become the kind of person he is without being through some shit. And especially now, I mean, and this is just boxing, man. This isn't nothing to him. He's actually dealt with real fucking adversity in life. Like this is the lowest level of adversity he'll ever have to deal with. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And obviously, it's Canelo Alvarez, right? I mean, as far as boxing, that's a lot of fucking adversity, But I mean, I think he can show a lot of toughness. I'll be honest with you. I was listening to some things, and people are like, "Hey, do not doubt Caleb Plant." Maybe he doesn't have the names compared to the other guys that Canelo took the titles from. He is really on the lower end. You know what I mean? He's definitely the last. I mean, let's just be honest. But it doesn't mean he can't come out here and do something. I mean, the guy's a little showman. He can show off a little bit. He's fun. He has some good stuff he can do. But against Canelo, man, I mean, obviously the guy can adjust on the fly. You know what I mean? And he's been pretty exact with his predictions of how he's going to win all his fights, man. I mean, he's beat the shit out of the last, 3 guys? I mean, beat him. Like, legitimately beat him in terrible, like, hasn't, like, when it's time, it's done. It's over,
Yeah.
And he already predicted, what was it, round 9, 8 for Caleb Plant? Something like that?
Something along those lines.
He came out with his prediction. He already said when it's going to end. And let me tell you, man, he's predicted it right every single time, if I'm right. Which, the fact that he did it again makes you wonder, right, what he thinks, what he saw, what he's going to do. I mean, obviously, I'm hoping for a competitive fight, man. Honestly, you want a competitive match always. I just hope Caleb Plant comes out here, shows adversity. And, man, something, if he shocks the world, that'd be fucking awesome, dude. What a good feel story, right? I mean, that is, I think for Caleb Plant, that'd be kind of like the pinnacle of his life right there, Like beating the guy he's telling him, he can't beat, going through tragedy in his life, becoming a champ, being undefeated still, being 22-0. I mean, that'd be insanity, man. I mean, is he gonna be able to do it? I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't think he can, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. I think he has a good chance to come out here, show himself, and do something special. But I mean, Canelo, the way he's looking, man, he's a fucking killer, dude. He we talked about it privately after his last fight. I'm like, what is there left to do, really? He's 56-1. He might become 57-1 after this. I mean, and it's looking. I mean, maybe only has, like, if he really wants to cement himself, I mean, he just has like another few fights, and I'd say he's done with his career. He doesn't have to do a lot more, Josh. I mean, as an all-time great, he has to be up there. You know what I mean? It's just a fact of it.
For sure.
I mean, it's just a fact, and it's looking effortless now. You know what I mean? Like, it really is, Josh. It's looking pretty effortless. It's kind of scary, Mm-hmm. He's hitting a different level. I mean, I think he's in his prime. We can say it, right? At 31 years old, Canelo Alvarez is as prime as the state can be. He's a prime rib, dude. I mean, the prime Wagyu grade, whatever the fuck, Wagyu grade A5. There's something above A. If there's anything above that, he's above that. You know what I mean? Like, we'll keep it 100. This is just a fact right now.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, this is what I'm interested in watching. This is the biggest thing for me this weekend, if I'm being quite honest with you. I love the UFC, but boxing always has a special place in my heart. Without boxing, for me, there's no MMA, at least for me. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, and I actually completely agree. And honestly, the reason why I mentioned earlier, like, is he, like, the most slept on guy? Because, like, I see people putting him in, like, on the Yildirim category.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
And look, dude, I'm done picking against Canelo after the Callum Smith destruction. People bring up Kovalev. They'll bring up, like, Daniel Jacobs. They'll bring up Billy Joe Saunders. That's the Callum Smith fight, where I just fucking turned it around, dude. I was like, I picked Canelo to lose that one. And it was like an upset pick. Part of the reason why I did it. But, like, because after Kovalev, everybody's like, oh, dude, this guy's unbeatable. But, like, I was like, I saw through past that. I mean, people tend to forget, Kovalev, he went life or death with Anthony Yard, like, 2 months before that.
Shout out to Anthony Yard.
shout out Anthony Yard, who I love, but like he's British regional level. Like let's just call it for what it is.
Whoa, come on, Josh almost put out Kovalev, man. An aging Kovalev.
Well, dude, I mean, okay. I like Anthony Yard.
By the way, do you know who he fought after that? Like, just so you know.
Who did you fight?
Dude, he fought this guy named Diego Yair Ramirez. Like, they had a 6-round fight. What do you think the guy's record was? Just throw some numbers out there. They're not going to be exact. And I'll tell you.
13-13.
He is 4-48.
Holy shit!
He had fought
after
Sergey
nearly
Kovalev.
knocking out.
Yeah, he fought Sergey Kovalev, the Crusher, and then he goes and fights 4-48 Diego Yair Ramirez. He fought a few times after that, just so you know. He beat a guy named Dax Spellman, who was 16-4.
Lost to Lyndon Arthur.
And then he lost to Lyndon Arthur, who's 17-0. Yeah, they're having a rematch actually in December. But yeah, just to give you an idea where that went.
Yeah, but dude, like back to my original point, like Calvin Smith, that's the one where I was like, I flipped on. I'm like, I'm done betting against Canelo Alvarez, because like for me, I was like, that was a kid who like, I don't understand. People were like, oh yeah, John Ryder gave him a tough fight, but I'm like, I still thought Callum clearly took that 8-4, 7-5. Like even then, I was like, yeah, but like there could have been outside forces, like maybe he wasn't fully prepared, maybe he had an injury, blah blah blah. Because outside of that, he looked damn near unbeatable. Like he knocked out George Groves, who's just phenomenal. He beat Nicky Holtzkin, knocked out Rocky Fielding even easier than Canelo did. He knocked out Hassan Andam, and just like, dude, he looked phenomenal. And then you know what Canelo did? He went in with like one of the greatest game plans I've seen in a long time. Not even just like hit him in the arms. Like, and it's like a rare strategy that's not seen very often.
What a fucking demon though, dude. Like to fucking think about that. Like, I would have never thought of that, dude.
I know. And like I remember like first round, I was like, oh shit, like Callum's staying in there. I'm like, this is gonna be a hell of a fight. And then after that, just like he just wore him the fuck down. Like I think two judges gave him like 1 round, and like the other gave him maybe 2 rounds. But outside of that, he beat the piss out of him. To that point, he was undefeated. He was 27-0, 20 wins via knockout. Like Callum was just ridiculous, dude. And he made him look like a child in there. And he looked smaller against Callum than he did against Kovalev. Like,
dude, the BJ Saunders one too.
Yeah, Callum cut a shitload of weight. And Billy Joe Saunders, dude, Billy Joe Saunders is even proof that, like, you can stay in there. Like, I had them damn near even going into that round where he got knocked out. Like, I think it was 5-3. I think I had it in Canelo's favor. But Billy Joe Saunders is coming back in the second half of that fight, I guess I should say. And even then, he got knocked out. He was not able to escape it.
You know the red flag in that, though? Like, the one red flag we had about BJ Saunders at that point was that Marcelo Esteban Caceres fight.
Oh, completely.
Oh, yeah, dude, that was a fucking red flag. Like, we should have fucking seen that coming, dude, after that fight, to be honest with you.
I thought Billy Joe Saunders was going to give him a tough fight because he fights up to the level of his competition, but I didn't expect him to win.
That was was that the KSI?
KSI Logan 2 undercard.
Yeah, that should have been our fucking red flag right there, dude. That fucking match.
Oh no, and I completely agree. That was a massive, massive red flag. But beyond that, to Caleb Plant's point, he's not Andre Yildirim. He is not a Rocky Fielding type. He is actually very, very good. And I feel like a lot of people have just they saw him get punked at the press conference. And I think they're really sleeping on how good he actually is. And a lot of it comes from like his last performance where like he beat Caleb Trouts, but he didn't beat him in a way that was like overly dominant.
But shit, everybody has those wins, dude. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I gave him all 12 rounds, but he should, like, people thought he should have knocked him out. But you know, like I took all 12 rounds pretty cleanly. And Caleb Trouts he's a good guy in his own right. You know what I mean? Like, he's not some tool. Mm-hmm. Past his prime, maybe, but you know, that's an argument for another day. So yeah, dude, I think Caleb Plant, I think he's very, very good. I think he's very, very underestimated. I think he has a phenomenal jab. He's very, very elusive. He kind of reminds me of like, and it's not like an insult. It's actually a compliment. It's going to come off as an insult. He's like a poor man's Roy Jones. Like in his style, in his movement, I mean. He's not as quick. He's not as elusive, but he throws a lot of like that hands down style, like the kind of the wind up jab. You know what I mean? That is just, I love that style, but it's not gonna be enough. I think he's gonna impress a lot of people. I love this man's story. I love his ferocity. He's the only dude to be like, you know what? fuck you, Canelo. Like, he's like a lot of dudes I feel like get beat
He
by
is really
Canelo.
standing to him, yeah. Like he really is
he's standing his ground. A lot of dudes get beat by Canelo before the fight.
Who was the last guy to stand up to him like that? Probably, fuck, man. Who?
I want to say Billy Joe Saunders, but even then, Billy Joe Saunders did not go at him this way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who was the last guy to go at him like even like relatively well? Probably Floyd, right?
Say that again.
Probably Floyd, right? Obviously, Floyd does it in his own way.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like, I mean, it's up there. This is up there. Like, he's like not backing down. He knows he's an underdog. He knows he has nothing to lose. He's like, you know what? Fuck you, Canelo.
And I'm making good money. Like I'm getting a payday. I'm getting a fucking payday, man. I ain't worried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's just
What has been your favorite insult if you have listened to any?
Just from Caleb Plant?
Yeah.
I know that he's called him out for being a juice head. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a fan of that, just because like Canelo's steroid, is gone completely, like, pushed under the rug. I mean, we can argue whether or not, because wasn't it USADA that caught him? But I think like USADA's been pretty thoroughly. I don't give a shit about USADA at this point, Don.
I mean,
like,
Josh, we have, you and I have had our private talks about sports,
about
steroids
stuff
and PEDs just as a whole, and not even just PEDs, but other stuff that would be harder to track and kind of it's a weird thing. I mean, honestly, like I told Josh, like Nate Diaz said, everybody's on steroids, so I'm not even,
I mean, shit, Nate popped, so
marijuana.
No, not for marijuana. Remember, he got popped for I don't remember what it was before he fought
Shit,
Monster.
then he wasn't wrong. Everybody is on steroids then.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, look, dude. I mean, I don't want to bring. It's not a big deal necessarily at this point in time, but after the first Golovkin fight, he did clop for a steroid and clenbuterol. So,
actually, I can tell you about that more later after the podcast. I actually know a little bit about this.
Are you like in terms of like the fact, like, what about the steroid itself
or clenbuterol, what it can be used for? We can get into that.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to get it on the podcast.
I will to his point. There have been cases where it has been found in certain traces of meat, very rarely, which was his defense. He did get suspended, which is why there was a pretty big gap, and why obviously Golovkin fought once or twice after they fought originally, and then there was like a 1-year break between the fight and the second time. But regardless, I like that Caleb Plant brought that up. I like that he just stood his ground, dude. I love that shit. Like, he's been the only. If people were like, oh man, he tried the cheap shot.
Is that why it gives you confidence, like, in it being a good match? Like, I think
completely.
Now you mentioned that, that's actually kind of crazy. Do you bring up dude? By the way, you fucking killed it today, dude. I just need to say that with bringing up shit like this that I haven't even thought about, like the shit with Michael Chandler. This, like, dude,
I never missed an angel.
Dude, you're a fucking stud, dude. Like, I just want to say it on the podcast. I want to get it fucking, put it out there and have it cemented forever, dude. That shit's fucking awesome. I really appreciate you brought all this shit up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I mean, I look, I'll be honest with you guys. I've been a little bit mailing it in the last few weeks. I'm not sure if you guys have caught that a bit, just because like this stretch.
I mean, this is so
rough.
big. This is so big though. We can't. That's you had to show up for this one, Josh. You cannot show up for the others, but you had to show up for this one.
Mm-hmm. No, of course, but like just like these last few weeks, it's been a bit of a grind, just because like there's been no real. I mean, we had Deontay and Fury. I was hyped for that, but like outside of that, like UFC was rough. Bellator minus Fedor was a little bit rough.
Picked it up, so it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's this is about as good as it gets. But yeah, back to your original point. I think that the fact that he's standing his ground is giving me honestly a lot of confidence in his abilities.
He's Josh, like, I don't know, maybe Josh, maybe you're writing his name in the death note right now. We just don't know it.
It's entirely possible. But even then, like, he's a massive underdog anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But just like, I feel like people that are kind of writing him off, I'm like, you guys, I don't think a lot of people have watched Caleb Plant fight. Like, I remember whenever he beat, Caleb Jackson in the beginning of the year, everybody's like, oh my God, he couldn't knock him out. I'm like, that's not Caleb Plant's game. He has 21 fights. He has like half of those are decisions. Like, he's not a knockout guy. He'd much rather style on you than put himself in harm's way. I don't think he's ever been knocked down before in his career. I know he's never been knocked out. He's never lost before. Like, he's not that guy to put himself in harm's way. He'd rather style on you, maybe look like a fool. He has more fun doing that than he is hunting for the knockout. He's not that guy. I mean, And even then, like, he's knocked out good guys before, so it's not to say that he's incapable of it. It's just not his game. So I feel like a lot of the problems with Caleb Plant are kind of overstated. People are like, oh, you can't have that hands down style against Canelo. I'm like, I kind of agree, but also if it brought you the dance, you don't try and switch up. Yeah, you don't change up that style. It's going to be a very good fight. I truly think that a lot of people are sleeping on him, partially because it's a weird thing to say, but I mean, if you look at the average MMA or boxing fan's intelligence, it's about the size of a fucking peanut, all right? Their brain. So,
dude, I wonder what the average IQ is for an MMA/boxing fan. That'd be a great fucking study. I feel like they should do that and then fucking put the average IQ of a library, and then put the average IQ of just like a small selection of people in a library.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll put it like this. I think if you take the average IQ of an MMA or boxing fan, you cut it in half, you're in single digits. I think I've used that line before on the show, but regardless, I think it fits here. I mean, did you catch any of the press conference today?
Fuck, man, I did. Yeah. That's how I brought up the Logan Storley thing. And actually, no, that was yesterday. My bad. I didn't actually.
Yeah, they're booing the shit out of Kamaru. They're amassed Colby Chance, and yeah.
I guess it is New York, so yeah. What a fucking surprise, right?
Yeah, clowns. But yeah, dude, I feel like people are just like, people saw Caleb get clowned on. I don't even know if it's really clowned on. Like whenever Canelo caught him and cut him at the press conference, and I'm like, y'all know the only reason why he did that is Canelo lost his pressure. Like he lost his cool because Caleb called him a juice head. He called him out for testing positive, and Canelo said like he pretended not to understand the motherfucker insult, despite the fact that he called Demetrius Andrade a motherfucker whenever like the press conference thing happened a couple months back when he crashed the press conference.
That shit was comedy though, dude. Let me tell you.
Oh no, it was completely hilarious. But like, come on, dude, just say that just say why. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you just said that's why it happened, but we know why. Because Caleb called him a juice head. He called him out for testing positive, and then he pushed him, and then Caleb slapped him, and he landed a 1-2. So I think the press conference stuff is getting in a lot of people's heads. I think it's clouding their vision. I also think a lot of people haven't really watched Caleb Plant. He's never been on pay-per-view. He's only been on like PBC on Fox cards. So, I think he's going to give him a very tough fight. I think he's actually going to go to a decision. I don't think he's going to get knocked out. And I think he's going to take a couple rounds, but I think at the end of the night, I think Canelo Alvarez will unify the super middleweight titles and cement his place as arguably, I mean, it's crazy to think about, but he's getting close to surpassing Chavez Sr. as being the greatest Mexican fighter of all time.
There's people who argue it. I think a lot of people like Senior so much though, like because he's a cultural icon, dude.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, you heard the story about him getting robbed?
I have not.
Dude, so he was getting robbed. He was going to get mugged. And they noticed who he was, and they were like, oh, shit. My bad. You're the goat. They were like, dude, like, I'm such a big fan. And they were just cool. They didn't rob him.
And then they turned the gun on Junior, and they robbed him instead.
And then they took Junior hostage. And that was – no, I'm just kidding. But no, they let him go. It was just like, oh, shit. Like,
he is a cultural icon. I do know that. I saw that whenever I watched.
Dude, he's like a Greek god. He's like a literal god. Like if you ask, like, you don't have to be I'll put it like this. You don't need to be a boxing fan in Mexico to know the name. You know what I mean? Like people just know who like even my mother knows. You know what I mean? My mom watches like No Sports, and she's aware.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know that he's huge.
Yeah, he's fucking massive. I mean, I don't know who you could compare. Like I'm trying to think of someone like Tyson, but Tyson's more different because Tyson's like an international icon too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Is there anybody comparable? Because even Ali's like an international icon. I'm trying to think. Maybe like maybe more like Tiger. Because everybody knows Tiger in the States, right?
Yeah.
I'd say maybe more like that. It's a little different, but like that.
Mm-hmm. But in terms of like outside of like his cultural like icon, I do see some people that are like kind of putting Canelo into that conversation already.
Oh yeah,
is being the great. And honestly, can you surpass him by the end? It's possible.
And there's so many, Josh. I mean, there's so many. Let's just be honest. I mean,
oh yeah,
there's so many guys who.
But if you were to rank behind Chavez, like, is Canelo already number 2 in your eyes as a Mexican?
It's there's a lot of guys that obviously are way before my era that people will live and die for. Uh-huh. So I can't really give like a great opinion on it, but I'm sure like as far as like accomplishments, he isn't far off. You know what I mean? Like it's very. I mean, the guy was like 103 and like 100 and something and undefeated, or 80 something and undefeated. You know what I mean, Josh? Like he fought every few months, every few weeks, like, and not just like, and not journeyman. Like you can go back and like look at all those guys. I mean, this is a different time in boxing. This is when people didn't give a fuck who you were with.
Oh yeah.
They just boxed you. That's some shit that people like will talk shit about like, look at the records back then, man. They were all fighting. No, they weren't fighting journeyman. It's because back then no one gave a fuck. If you were good, you were fighting this guy. That guy was fighting that guy. That guy was fighting this. It didn't matter if you were with PBC, Falk, whatever. It didn't matter if you were with this guy. It didn't matter. You were fighting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's why guys have kind of more losses on records, because we're willing to fight the best to be the best.
For sure. And look, I don't know if that's really. I have heard people like use that as a criticism for Chavez Sr. They're like, why do you think he fought so much? Because he fought trash. I'm like, dude, within like, I can look on his Wikipedia right now, but I want to say within like a 5-year span, I know he fought Ruben Castillo. I know he beat Roger Mayweather, I think twice, right?
Yeah, or I think he fought both, dude. I think he fought both Mayweather. Kid you not.
Oh, really? Oh, well, never mind.
I think he fought both.
I know he beat, because actually I pulled up his Wikipedia. Within like a 5-year span, this is all within 5 years. He had something like 50-something fights, but I'm not going to name all of them. He beat, because there's like the more noteworthy names: Castillo, Mayweather again, Edwin Rosario, Jose Ramirez, Samuel Fuentes, Meldrick Taylor twice. Second one was controversial, but who really cares?
Hey man, there was no question in the second one though.
No, the second one was kind of controversial.
Pernell Whitaker.
He knocked him out. Oh, wait a minute. Shit, never mind. Thinking of the wrong fight. My bad. Yeah. Pernell Whitaker, Meldrick Taylor twice, like I mentioned. Macho Camacho, and dude, like all within like in like a 5-year span, he fought all those dudes. Like,
dude, guys who had like crazy records at the time. You know what I mean? Like guys who were 44-0, maybe you don't know them, but it's still like, that doesn't mean the guy couldn't have been dangerous. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because back then you had these guys fighting every fucking week, man. Every fucking week.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. Quick. He fought 1 month, fought the next month, waited 2 months, fight again. Waited 2 months, fought again. Waited 2 more months, fought again. You know what I mean? Like, the fuck?
And just a quick, I'm gonna go ahead and fact check myself in real time. I said like the second fight was controversial. I was wrong. I was thinking of the first fight with Meldrick Taylor. 69-0, knocked him out with 2 seconds left.
By the way, that fight's a banger. If you ever want to watch that, like I've seen that in its entirety.
Yeah.
Like, it is controversial, like whatever you want to say.
I don't think it's in my eyes not controversial, because if you go by like what the referee is supposed to do, it's like it doesn't matter when the fight is. You're supposed to like, and he knocked him down hard. So I was fine with the TKO.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty insane.
He was winning up to that point, but like you can't just completely discount like a guy looking fucking rough even it's near the end of the fight. So I was fine with that stoppage.
Also, the ref doesn't know the time.
Exactly. That too. So, yeah, but that's if you guys never watched that one, both fights against Meldrick Taylor are absolute bangers.
I've only seen the first. I should go watch the second.
Second one is not as good because it's more of just a pretty clear Chavez. I mean, it was close up until I think round 8 or round 9 he gets a knockout in. So,
I know both guys said after that they weren't like well physically after that.
Yeah, I believe in that second fight happened after Chavez Sr. already lost to that point. So, yeah. So. But, I mean, I believe, just to go ahead and bring it back to the original conversation, just to clarify, you're also taking Canelo on Saturday as well.
Oh, yeah. Smart choice, man. Let's just keep it 100.
Fair enough, man. I believe that does – I mean, we're actually closing in on the 2-hour mark. But as far
holy shit, that's awesome, man.
I know. It's up there as our longest show of all time. So, as far as that goes, man, is there anything else you want to talk about before we close out?
Oh, man, I think we did a fucking awesome job. I'm excited to come back next week and recap everything in the amazing world of fucking combat.
For sure, man, for sure. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, this might go down to the second longest show ever, so that is absolute history right there. It did not feel that long. But I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, I'm at Josh Evanoff. He's at Angel Ortega _01 at Courtside Sound1 for all things related to the show. Feel free to subscribe, rate, hit the bell on YouTube, all the things that people say and all that shit.
WWF.
Of course. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.